One. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Day two day two of the Harris Walz ticket. Tim Walz is now entering his second. It's been about 24 hours since Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was picked to be the running mate for Kamala Harris. So we're going to tackle a couple things. The news day hasn't progressed to any significance. So we don't have a lot of hard pressing things to ask. So as a result, I want to see how you folks are feeling in regards to the election. Now, first off, we are going to talk about Tim Walz, though. Number one question to start the program off, if you see the live stream is indeed titled this, what have you heard in relations to Governor Tim Walz? What have you heard about Tim Walz? Now, being a governor of Minnesota, he was not in the national news essentially at all. I mean, really, a lot of Americans didn't even know who Tim Walz was until Kamala Harris nominated him. So the first thing I want to ask you folks is, what have you heard over the last 24 hours about Tim Walz? Now, I'm assuming military is going to come up. I'm assuming things in regards to his actions during the George Floyd riots. Some of you folks may even be talking about something as mundane as tampons in the restroom for boys. Tampons in the boys' bathroom. Now, somebody said a DUI. I have not heard about driving under the influence. Are you saying that Tim Walz received a DUI? I have not heard that. Now, we're going to talk about Tim Walz, obviously, because he is the main ticket right now. But also, I just want to ask you folks, overall, how do you feel about the election? Now that it's went from now that it's went from Biden to Kamala, and now Tim Walz versus Trump, and now Trump has added J.D. Vance. 90 days until we vote. How do you feel overall about the national election coming up? Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, what are your main concerns? And I see some folks in the comments are stating that Tim Walz received a DUI in 1995. Is that true? I have not heard about it yet, but I wasn't really paying attention to the news as much today. Finally took a day away from social media, which is why I haven't created many shorts and videos. So a lot of Tim Walz has passed. Obviously, the right is doing their job. The Trump administration, they're doing their job in digging into the past of Tim Walz. So things are coming up. But I have not heard about him getting a DUI. But I see some folks are stating he received a DUI in 1995. Now that is, 29 years ago? Take it as you may. I mean, but if he received a DUI 29 years ago, he received a DUI. I mean, that is an irresponsible act, but it's 29 years ago. Wow. But I do want to hear what is your major concerns in regards to going into this election. And of course, what have you heard about Tim Walz? That's what we're going to be discussing today. You know the program is, always will be, MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section. You damn sure don't have to agree with the host. It's all about free speech here. That's how we've been running the program since day one. Always have, always will be. We are MAGA friendly. Liberals are welcome as well. So looking in the comments, Tim Walz is only Gavin Newsom 2.0. I don't know enough about Tim Walz to disagree or agree with that. I think that the state of Minnesota is ran completely different than the state of California. And I will say the evidence is in the fact that the right has not been heavily criticizing the state of Minnesota. Up until now, you didn't hear Minnesota mentioned in right-wing circles at all. California was constantly being brought up. Chicago is constantly being brought up. So is New York. You don't hear folks suggesting that Minnesota is being ran by a bunch of left-wing lunatics. So the idea that he's Gavin Newsom 2.0, his state, it's not reflected in how his state is ran. There's a lot of people fleeing California, high taxes, crime, etc. That's not happening in Minnesota. So the idea that the idea that Tim Walz is Gavin Newsom 2.0, if he is, the way he's running his state does not reflect that. Point that out. Looking in the comments, Donna Peebles, thank you for the salutations. Hello to you as well. Washington State is lost, sabotaged from where we're not really discussing Washington State. Don Cornelius. Okay. So Trey. So we're going to the box, asking that question: what are your major concerns? And of course, what have you heard, good or bad? Good or bad? What have you heard about Minnesota Governor Tim Walz? Was it a good pick for Kamala Harris? Uncle Lucas, right off the bat, one of my subscribers. Good afternoon, Uncle Lucas. What is your
what's up, handsome?
Not good. Good to have you back on. What is your take on Tim Walz? Any concerns?
Man, I like Tim Walz, but they do have a line with him with this attack that he abandoned his unit right before deployment. I served in the active Air Force, and then I went over to the National Guard, and I saw that a lot of times. I saw a lot of people that spent 20 years in the Guard and never deployed. So, they do kind of got a line on him on that.
So you believe that now, you being military yourself, you believe after he's done nearly a quarter century, when it's time to deploy to a war zone, he should be for that as well, even though he has the right to retire. I mean, 24 years in, he's already been in a long time. You believe he should have went into combat as well?
It's one of those things. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong according to the UCMJ. He did nothing wrong according to being able to drop his papers and retire. But, it's a bad look because I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of professional National Guard who were high-ranking like he was, E9, who had never deployed in their whole career. They never went downrange. They never went to Iraq. They never went to Afghanistan. They were just fat and happy.
Yeah, but who joins the National Guard? National Guard. Who joins the National Guard expecting to go to a war zone?
Exactly. People join the National Guard
right,
expecting not to go to war zone. That's actually why I got out of active duty, because I got sick of going to war zones. But what happened was I had a specialty, and they kind of told me, hey, I got voluntold to go to Afghanistan for 6 months, and after that I was done.
So you said they got a,
because it sucks.
You said they got a line on them. I'm asking you as a military individual yourself. Do you hold that against him that he served in the National Guard? As you admit, people don't join the National Guard expecting to go to combat. He did 24 years and he retired. Do you hold that against him that he didn't choose to go into combat, even though he joined a branch of the military where going into combat is normally not part of it?
That's not a good look, man. I'll be honest with you. It's just not a good look. I mean, especially if and I need to know more about the circumstances. It's one thing if he had a kid, his wife was, because I think he had a kid around that same time, and he was probably ready to drop his papers and was just done. But then he was in for 24 years. He never served in Desert Storm either.
He's in the National Guard. He's in the National Guard.
Hey, when the war happens, they call up active duty first. And then they call up the National Guard and Reserve. What happens is you get put on orders, right? And you get put on federal orders. And especially what they do with the Guard is they call up your whole unit. So your whole unit goes to do whatever your unit's specialization is. So then you got to ask yourself, if your whole unit is going, why aren't you going? Is it a medical reason? Or is it because you just don't want to go?
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people that were high-ranking that just didn't go.
And you're telling me you saw a whole lot of high-ranking people that didn't want to go to a war zone. Is that something shocking that a person who actually has earned in retirement chose to retire as opposed to going somewhere where they could get killed or be away from their family?
Hey, what are we here for? Hey, that's the question you got to ask. I didn't want to go. The first time I went, I just had a newborn. I didn't want to go. I don't think many people want to go.
Would you have went with that? with that newborn, you mentioned you just had a newborn and you didn't want to go because you had a child and a family at home. Would you have went if your newborn, if you had 24 years in and you were actually able to retire, but you had knocked somebody up and you got a newborn, would you leave that newborn behind and go?
Hell no, I probably wouldn't go. Look, I got out in 10 years. I remember my commander was looking at me and I was a quitter. Why would you leave this?
So you would have did
somebody there to judge you. But what I'm saying is they probably have a line on them on this because look, I'm voting for Kamala and I like Tim Walz. But I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. You're saying it's not a good look, but you readily admitting as a veteran yourself, if you were in the same situation, you would have did the same thing he did.
Audi 500, man. Because look, man. I after being reported times, in holes, and it sucks, man. So I understand not wanting to go, but then on the other hand, and I mean, especially as a command sergeant major, you got to lead from the front, man. I mean, I was just an E6.
But you just admitted. You're saying lead from the front, but you're admitting that if you were in the front, you would do the same thing he did.
Hey, I am not gonna sit here and tell people I admit I'm human, and I admit Tim Walz is human. But you are one step away from the presidency. You got to be better than the rest of us. I hate to say it, you got to be better than the rest of us. But look, I'm still voting for Walz. Okay. I'm still voting for Harris. I like Walz, but I think they will have a line on him because I think Vance, he did serve. He was a combat correspondent in Marine Corps. He only did 4 years, but I mean, military veterans know there's a difference between the National Guard and active duty. And that's 24 years.
I don't get it. I think that you yourself, being a person that left the military yourself, I think most military veterans would answer the question as honest as you just did. In other words, we're upset he didn't go to combat with us because he worked to get an opportunity we were not afforded yet. We hadn't worked, we hadn't been in there long enough to retire. So exactly. We had to go. But he didn't because he has enough years to retire. But we all know damn well that if we were in his shoes, we would all do the same thing we're criticizing him for.
Exactly. It's a crazy thing. I just said they got a line on them on that because there's going to be veterans who are like I joined the military to up my socioeconomic status to to go to school to do better in life. But then there's veterans who bleed they bleed the flag. They love America. I love, Iraq war was the right thing. The Afghanistan war was the right thing. And then that's just going to be a line. And then there's going to be the people who never served who are going to be like, well, my granddaddy served in the Civil War or whatever. Yeah. And
you and I disagree. Yeah, you and I disagree on that notion that they got a line against him. I mean, like I said, you yourself being a veteran made it clear that, it's not a good look, but if I was in that situation, I would do the same. And I think most veterans are just like you. If they had a choice after putting in 24 years of service between retiring and going somewhere where they could get killed, I'm going to say the vast majority of folks in the military would probably choose to opt out of going to the killing zone and enjoy their retirement. I mean, that's crazy that they're going to hold accountable for that.
Did you see that interview J.D. Vance already did, or the speech where he was talking about Tim Walz's service?
No, I have not, but I know he went to Yale.
Man, they're already starting. Yeah. They're already starting. Right. I'm telling you, man, they're going to start beating this drum that Tim Walz abandoned his unit. I'm telling you, they're going to be beating it louder and louder. And I just said that's the line they got. It's kind of like with John Kerry and the whole Swift boat thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it's like, and meanwhile, President Trump never served. Kamala Harris never served, so right. They got us.
Well, President Trump allegedly dodged service by suggesting he had bone spurs or something like that. So he didn't just not serve. Talking about abandoning, he abandoned the country during the draft time as well.
He did. Nah, he did. And you know what's crazy is if conservatives were honest, they would say that's a problem. And I'm just being honest. I'm a big fan of Tim Walz, but as a vet who served active duty in the guard, I know the situation. I've seen that situation where people have been there for 20 some odd years and never once been downrange, never once been to a combat zone. And
yeah, but let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, Uncle Lucas. If he had went to combat, did a tour and came back and then retired before they requested him to do a second tour, they would be saying the same thing. Because they're going into combat. Misery loves company. They want him to continue going to combat as much as they are, even though he has the option to retire. They would have expected him to do as many tours as they had to do. So,
yeah. And realistically, there's always another war. There's always another engagement. That's honestly why I got out. Because after going to Iraq and Afghanistan, and then they were going to Syria, I said, I'm done with this. I'm done with this.
And you left your unit. And they're going to say you abandoned. If you ran for president, they would say you abandoned your unit as well.
You're right. Because if I ran for president, my commander would come out of the blue and say, Lucas left his unit because he thought he was better than us because he got a college education. So, which I did.
Fair enough. At least I'll give you. You started this conversation off. We were a little bit different, but at least at the end of the day, you do agree that most folks in the military would take the same option Tim Walz is taking if they had the same situation. People are not going to choose to go to combat when they can retire. In a decorated career. They're just not going to do that. I got to move it on, though, Uncle Lucas. I'll give you the last word.
Judge them, though, man. They still going to judge them. They still going to judge them at the VA halls and at the veteran centers, man. I really feel like he compliments the ticket. What else do they have on him? Oh, that he got a DUI in 95, which is stupid. It was like 30 years ago.
I think this military argument is kind of stupid, too, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, when you speak to some more of your military vets, ask them how they feel about it. Because, and ask them specifically if they served in the Guard. Because the Guard is a whole different beast than active duty. Right. It's a good old boys club. Everybody's uncle is the commander. And I hated the Guard. So, but I'll let you get to your next guest, man. It was good talking to you, handsome.
Absolutely a pleasure, Lucas. Thank you. Moving the program on, I don't think that most military folks are so gung-ho to go to war that if they can retire, you've heard, it ain't like you just joined. You've been in there for 24 years and you got an option. Do people really, certainly, let me just say this. It's a difference if we're going to war after September 11th, where you believe America's been genuinely attacked and you want to do your patriotic duty to get some get back. To get some revenge on somebody that has killed, taking the life of 3,000 Americans. But the wars that we've been dealing with for the last 20 years had nothing to do with that. We weren't fighting for freedom. We were often fighting to limit the freedoms of others, to tell them how they should run their countries, to promote, capitalism or Christianity or the American way of life on other countries. That's not fighting for freedom. The idea that somebody would choose retirement over that, is that really that bad? Ask you folks, and as my last caller said, I would certainly love to talk to a few veterans. Moving on with the program, though, I noticed this guy never has Republicans on the phone. Am I correct or just catching the wrong streams? You're partially correct there. Who said that? Repair and support. Unfortunately, on my TikTok side, a lot of my folks on the right are not on the program as much. My YouTube side has a lot more MAGA. I do prefer speaking to MAGA just for the entertainment of the conversation, but I can't force MAGA to come in the box. I do appreciate your input. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We're certainly not just deliberately picking liberals. I want to let you know that. If you watch the program enough, you'll hear folks from all sides of the aisle. But lately, more callers have leaned left than right. So you are correct to some degree. Denkow, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. And the callers are coming in on TikTok. So for folks asking, well, how do I get to you? You're hearing the audio from TikTok. Denkow, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, you were a veteran, and we talked last night, and thank you, Repair and Support, says honesty is great. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for your support. Now, you retired from the military. We talked last night. Give the audience your story in relation, because you have some similarities to Tim Walz.
Right. I'll try to shorten it up a little bit, but I had I was at what would have been the end of my military career at 20 years, because they, that's part of the contract. You do 20 years and then you can officially go ahead and retire. I was at the end of my contract, but I was eligible to re-enlist for 3 more years. Now, at the end of my career, I was on a military vessel. I was coming from a 6-month cruise abroad. On my way back, I was supposed to transfer onto shore duty to be there with my family, like a 9 to 5. I wouldn't be on a vessel. On the way back from that 6-month cruise, they told me, prior to me re-enlisting, they told me they wanted me to transfer from my ship to another ship that was about to go through another a cruise, another deployment. And I said, well, it's time for me to transfer to shore duty. And what they came back to me and told me was that it's all about the needs of the Navy right now. And I said, well, I do have a decision in this process. And they told me, no, you don't. You will do what the military asks you to do. And I said, well, no, I have an option, because, I'm past 20 years. And so I looked at my life and I said, well, hey, I've got, my son going to high school, my daughter's going through puberty. We're like 2 strangers when we meet, because they haven't had any time with their father. So I said I had a decision to make. I could go with the needs of the Navy, which they don't care about me. They would have ran me ragged back and forth out to sea as many times as they could. I decided to retire. And so from that point on, from the command's perspective, they said I quit on the military.
And how many years of service you have?
I had 21 when I finished, but I was right at 20 when I had to make this decision. And so when people are saying that, if we go by their logic, anybody that gets out quit.
Yeah.
Because
no matter how long they've been in.
Right. And everybody has had a different reason, why they stayed or why they left. And so I don't understand what people don't understand about the military is once you're done with the military, they're done with you. So no matter what your decision is, why you made that decision, somebody is going to say you quit. And so therefore, when is it appropriate? When is it appropriate to leave the military service? Because trust me, I was a guy in the room when I was sitting there with my young shipmates, and we were having discussions about why people join, and almost none of them said, because I just wanted to dedicate my whole life in service and to try to go fight wars and kill, and unalive people for this country. That's not. People is in there talking about they joined for college. People in there talking about they joined to get away from their small town, get away from their big city. So when you fulfill that contract of 20 plus years, nobody can tell you that you abandoned them, because that was the agreement you made, was 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's beyond me that some people would say, even those people, he said, your last caller said some people from like the DAV or the V, the organizations for veterans and stuff. Like, no, each one of them people in there have their own particular story about why they got out.
True.
Everybody understands when we're in military service, nobody's saying the only true heroes are the people that's over there fighting in Afghanistan, or the only true heroes are the ones, doing secret ops over there and, Tehran. No, we're all a part of the same group that's protecting this country, all the way down to the person sweeping the deck on a battleship. We all participated in the war effort. So from people out there saying that he shied away from going to war and all that stuff, they don't understand military culture or the way it's supposed to be. But that's my little spiel.
That's a good. You did well. You did fucking well. But what were you coming in for? I can't argue with that. I mean, that's the way I see it. And I'm not military, but The contract is I do 20 years and I can retire, whatever the case may be. Why all of a sudden, if I retire and I fulfill the contract, you're bitching all of a sudden? I did what you told me to do.
And somebody who got up to the highest rank possible in their particular service without crossing over to become an officer, you can't tell me that this man didn't have an impact and do good things for our country. I don't care if he carried a rifle and shot at somebody.
Yeah.
You don't get to be you. By that time, you are literally the leader of men when you get to that rank. You have hundreds of people under you going by your guidance, your direction, your instruction, and to try to minimize that and say, well, he didn't go over there to the war. Well, what do you think he was going to be doing in the war anyway at his rank?
Yeah, that's a good point. Your response to this topic is so great. I almost wish I had recorded it. I mean, I don't think you left anything out. I think you covered that as well as it can be covered.
Yeah, I've been in foxhole with these people, and for people to be coming up, I understand that other people that have military experience, they might disagree with me or whatever. But to try to make this a campaign issue, like people should not like him because of his decision to get out of the military, is just crazy.
Yeah,
and it's weird, man. It's weird.
And in response to what you're saying, you're serious. I think it says serious or serious on YouTube says, I got out of the Army with an honorable discharge after 10 and a half years. You can say I quit. I do not care. The Army told me I had no options for a new MOS because I could not make staff sergeant. So, like you said, Dinkow, everybody has their own story for why they served their time, whatever that was, and they left.
Right, and for somebody that doesn't understand that experience to try to judge it and say somehow he's not qualified to be, the vice president because of that situation, like you grasping, we really grasping at a bunch of straws around the wall.
Well, the thing about it is, Tim Walz is pretty damn squeaky clean. There's not a lot to come up with. That's why they bringing that up.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's not a lot there.
They're talking about a DUI. They talking about a DUI 30-some years ago.
There's nothing there.
Is that a requirement for being a commander-in-chief? Because I can tell you what, them bushes, they have some DUIs for you.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody said a word about that stopping them.
Yeah, I think the things that they're throwing against Tim Walz is a clear example that there really isn't a lot there. I mean, this guy's been he's been in politics since 2006. So he's been on the scene for a very long time, at least almost 20 years. He's been governor of Minnesota since 2019, so that's coming up on 6 years. And this is all you got? It shows there's not much there. Shout out to the liberals, let's say Kamala Harris or whoever else. They vetted the shit out of this guy. That's a perfect candidate. Certainly better than what's coming up on J.D. Vance.
Right, and then they constantly acting like they concerned with the decisions made at the top of the Democratic Party. They don't want us to coalesce around a candidate. They don't want us to do anything. They want us to fight.
Well, that's politics, though. We do the liberals. Yeah, the liberals do the same thing. I'm not going to fault them for playing politics. The liberals will do it as well, but it does look like the liberals and Tim Walz has found a candidate that's pretty damn clean. Folks are bringing up that under the George Floyd riots, he let the city burn for 3 or 4 days, I think it was. That's really it. Out of all of the time he's been governor, them 4 days is all you can come up with. I think that it just speaks volumes.
And they don't even put it in the context that when he had to make that decisions, he was listening to the National Guard, the commanders on the ground that said you don't want to necessarily be too aggressive and roll out tanks and stuff in your city. And that's why he didn't do something immediately until it was obvious that they couldn't handle it. But he tried to moderate it. He tried not to turn it into his citizens against the military.
And let's be clear. If he had done what you're suggesting, rolled out tanks or used tear gas to break this stuff up, the right now would be playing videos of those tanks, black people getting sprayed with tear gas, and suggesting that are black people going to vote for this guy? Look what he did to your people. So it doesn't matter what he does. They're going to, and that's their job. Their job is to criticize him. But yeah, if he had been really tough on the protesters, you would have the right suggesting that there's no way blacks should be dumb enough to vote for somebody who treated blacks this way when they were just trying to protest the wrongful death of a black person. That's what they would say if they had that opportunity.
Exactly. But the same way we can figure out what, what their response will be, I can do the same on my side. Now, I understand you got to drive your show, you got to whataboutism, you got to give the pushback and stuff. But some of this stuff, like the conversation that we're having is against Kamala, that she's somehow she was locking up too many black people, and that she slept her way to the top, and like all of these things have nothing to do with her ability to actually govern.
Well, but you can say the same thing about Trump if he cheated on his wife or if he slept with a bunch of chicks, because the left was bringing that stuff up, and you can say the same thing that it has nothing to do with him. I mean, that's just plain politics.
But that was bonus crimes right there. That was like bonus stuff right there.
What the hell is a...
Nobody said he couldn't govern. Nobody said he couldn't govern because he did those things. We said that when he's deciding on women's issues, we already know where he's at.
Yeah. But what the hell is a bonus crime? I've never heard that before.
I mean, it was like stuff that they just threw in because it's out there. Like we know that he has a consent decree for doing horrible things to black people back in the day. But you know what? Nobody's gonna sit up there and read the consent decree and understand why he was endeared by so many people of color back in the day, because he was trying to repair his image. The consent decree said he had to do certain things to invite the African American community into his housing projects, and to put out articles in the newspaper saying how he was open to he didn't do this stuff because he wanted to. He did it because the consent decree he signed said he had to.
Yeah, that was in regards to him. That was in regards to him losing a case where they were able to show they were not renting units to black people. They were putting the letter C on the application. This is Trump's property. They were deliberately refusing to rent to black people. And you're right. You're pointing out that they lost in court. And one of the requirements was that they had to, kind of like if you beat up somebody and they send you to anger management classes or something like that. That's really what that was. Okay, you don't get caught doing some racist shit or some discriminatory stuff. So you need to get out and do this or do that. Community service, like showing that you're willing to try to prepare your image with the people you were discriminating against. It doesn't come up that much though.
He started slinging money around. He started giving, Jesse Jackson, acting like he's really trying to help him get elected. And hey, they got checks to this day where he was giving money to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, it's oddly enough, shout out to Trump. I don't know what he did, but that doesn't come up that much, that they made him do all that community service like stuff for discriminating against, people of color. He's been able to really keep that under wraps. I mean, he's out there saying he did more for blacks than Abraham Lincoln or anyone else since Abraham Lincoln. And people buy it.
We talking about people with Ivy League educations will sit there in your face and say, what has he ever done or said that's racist? And it's baffling to me that the man said that a judge that had Hispanic descent could not judge him fairly.
Yeah. Yeah, he said the guy couldn't. He said the guy couldn't adjudicate his case because he's a Mexican. I got to move it on, though, Dencal. I give it up to Trump. The guy's a genius. He's been able to skate and avoid a lot of things. So shout out to the man. Dencal, thank you for coming on as always.
All right. Hey, vote blue. Harris, down the ticket.
Well, you got 90 days to make that choice. See ya. All right, moving in the comments. She had a massive crowd last night. Andy Joe, yeah, that is. And there was no concert. For all you folks that suggested in Atlanta when Megan Thee Stallion, female rapper Megan Thee Stallion was there, everybody, well, they only came because they had a concert. There was no concert yesterday. There were no performers yesterday, and that was a big freaking crowd. My opinion is all of her rallies are going to have a big crowd. Just like I wanted to go to a MAGA rally, I went to 2 MAGA rallies, or Trump rallies, because I wanted to feel the energy. I might lean left politically, but I like, I like political gatherings. I want to hear a piece from the other side. I wanted to feel the energy, and they were very energetic. MAGA was very nice to me. Well, I would like to go to Chicago and enjoy the Democratic National Convention as well. And I do believe a lot of people do. Because the energy is going to be... How many of you folks, by way of yes or no in the comments, now I already know how MAGA is going to respond to this damn question, but by way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you folks felt energy from Kamala leading up to Tim Walz speaking and seeing how that crowd reacted? Did you get any energy from that? Because that's how MAGA sees Trump gatherings. Did you feel that? If you lean left, did that suddenly make you feel really excited about this upcoming election? That's what I'm talking about. And I see a lot of folks are like, hell yeah, unity. They felt it. They felt it. So for you folks that are on the right side of the aisle, I'm talking to my beloved MAGA, think about how you feel when Trump gets up there and talks about building a wall, locking up Hillary Clinton, going after nervous Nancy. Well, yesterday, the liberals felt the same way. They had that same energetic experience that Biden could never deliver. They actually had the chance to feel what you've been enjoying for the last 6-7 years. So understand that. Big crowds are going to follow Kamala at least for the next 90 days. Big crowds, nothing to do with concerts. However, because the energy is so great, wouldn't surprise me if a hell of a lot of celebrities were willing to volunteer their services because they feel the energy too. It's all over the damn place. Going back to the box, all paid to like her. Doozy, I've talked to people that are going to the Chicago Democratic National Convention and are not getting paid, spending their own money to go there. They're not all paid to like Kamala. They're not. But we still love President Biden. Yeah, I think people are going to champion Biden because he stepped down and allowed a team with a more stronger chance of being victorious to step up. It's not to say Trump may not still win, but Kamala Harris Walz, the Harris Walz team is way more competitive against Trump Vance than the Biden Harris team was. Kamala at the top of the ticket and Walz as VP, that team is way... I mean, it's like you're watching tryouts before the season starts, and you're looking at how fast this guy can run. You're looking at what he's doing on the field, and you look at your defensive coordinator or one of your other coaches. We got a team this year. We got a team. I believe that's how the Democrats felt after seeing Walz speak. Seeing Kamala really get out there and say what she had to say to a lot of applause. And then having Tim Walz follow it up. A lot of Democrats looked at each other and said, I think we got a team now. Going back to the box, continuing on with Big Trig. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I don't know, maybe you just dropped off. Low-key hustle. Low-key hustle. Tampon Tim. I like it. Home of the brave. The tampon thing, tampons in boys' bathrooms. Have you heard about that, low-key?
No, somebody was just posting some memes about it today. I don't know why you would have that in a boys' bathroom. It doesn't make no damn sense, does it?
Actually, it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but what about if you have girls that transition to boys, but they still menstruate and they need tampons? Would it make sense then?
Man, that's a tough call. I'm the same generation as you. This new generation, they're just... Sometimes I just think that stuff just goes a little too far. I mean, for me... but I mean, who knows? It seems like I can see why a lot of people, when the Republicans push issues like that, it's just almost like the degradation of a normal society, and people want to push back and just kind of get back to more of what the nuclear family used to be. I can see how they're using things like that. You know.
So should we get rid of transgender people? I mean, if they don't fit, because obviously if you didn't get back to the nuclear family and the way society used to be, there was no place at the table for the transgender community. Are you suggesting we get rid of them?
No, life is an MF, man. It's a bitch. And if you find happiness in that, and that's your thing, that's great. You know, so no, hell no, don't get rid of anybody. But I will say, and I don't know how true this is per se, but I feel like when people are just so young and you don't know who you are, and sometimes you can just get wrapped up in something, and it's, you know, it's just part of you. You just go through things in life, and if you take things too far when you're young, you know, that just might screw you up. Because, you know, shit, I got some tattoos when I was younger I wish I wouldn't have got, you know. So I think there can be something said for just holding off on that shit till you get to a certain age, you know. Because
so let me ask you this. So let's say, for instance, a boy feels like he was born in the wrong body and he wants to transition to a girl, and let's say he's 12 years of age. Maybe he doesn't want to have a sex change. I believe that's against the law, but he does want to dress and, you know, behave like a girl in society. Should you just ban it and force him to continue going as a boy?
I mean, if I look, I got two kids, and if one of them was like that, now I would try to support him, especially if he was 12 and he was
support him how?
You know? I wouldn't, I wouldn't threaten to kick him out of the house or be negative towards any lifestyle like that, you know. But I would discourage him from taking pills or doing any kind of surgical procedures. You know, I just think that's too damn young. I think maybe when he's 18, then you make those decisions, you know. But when you're still 12, you're still putting shit together. You know, you're still figuring it out.
I don't know. When you were 12, were you still deciding whether you like boys or girls? I think you kind of knew, didn't you?
Yeah, no, that's, you know, the hard ones with the high. I think you're right there. I think people are born that way, but you know, okay, I got a niece and nephew, and she's kind of like transgender-ish, but she's dating another transgender, so it's really a girl pretending to be a boy that's dating a boy pretending to be a girl, you know? So I mean that's just the way it is, Tim. So I look at it like, hey, that's cool. If they're happy doing that shit, good for them, you know? But
so then if you say that if you're happy doing that shit good for you, then why are you complaining about the tampons in the other room? I mean, it doesn't affect you, does it?
You know, maybe that's a good point. That's a good point. You know, honestly, I'm on the fence about shit like that because I can really see both sides. You know, to me it seems.
What's the other side?
What do you mean the other side?
You said you can see both sides. One side is, look, that's their life. Let them have the freedom to do what they want. You said you can see both sides. What is the other side?
The other side is just, come on, man. You're just a kid, and you know, if you're a girl in high school dressing up like a boy, I mean, you know, maybe you should just use the restroom that you were with the parts you were given as a kid till you get out of high school and you know, figure that shit out when you're older. That's the other side, you know.
So the other side is to not really let them transition.
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, because we're talking about, we don't want you to use the wrong bathroom, but at the same time, if I'm a boy and I'm in high school and I want to transition and I want to dress like a girl, you're not going to want them in class dressed like a girl. It's going to go beyond just the bathroom. You don't really want them to transition at all.
Listen, what you're talking about is a very small percent that's like a minuscule thing. There's so many more important, bigger issues going on here, and unfortunately, that's what the right wants to do. They want to keep pushing these weird little small issues.
You sound like you sound like Tim Walz. Did you say weird? Repeat that.
Look, I mean, just because, you know, everybody I know that's a racist or that I consider a racist is voting for Trump. They're very excited about him, right?
I thought you were voting for Trump. You change it?
No, I hate Trump. There's no way I vote for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But look, Hey, I'm just, that doesn't, but that goes with what I'm saying. Just because I'm going to vote against him and I'm on one side doesn't mean that I just, follow and accept everything with the party. I would get behind a good Republican if they're, because I don't like Biden at all. I would love to vote against Biden, but I will stand in line 8 hours in Texas and place a worthless vote against Trump because I just hate the guy. I think he's absolutely horrible.
What's so bad about Trump? Folks suggested the economy was great. They could afford gas. They could afford their groceries. Why do you hate Trump so much?
He, I guess if I'm being honest, I've always been a never Trumper. He just sounds like such a con man to me. I know a lot about him, his past, the people he's dealt with, that Roy Cohn, the lawyer, just everything he does is it's just a complete sham and scam. And I feel like he's using issues like the border and his language just to put people really in a cult to get them to he's so divisive, and it's working, look, you can say the economy. I got to give, I will give him some credit. He's done some good things. If he kept his mouth shut and he didn't turn people against each other and make people absolutely hate each other, then maybe there would be a chance I'd be like, all right, he is doing some good things. Because I worked in the auto industry, and when somebody says they want to bring jobs back, and when Harley was going to move their plant to China or start, he's like, well, don't buy Harleys anymore. And so they stopped that. I like shit like that he's done. But he's done so many other things that are just absolutely horrible that it's just impossible to get behind someone like that.
Wow. All right, fair enough. Low key, appreciate you coming through. I do got to move it on. Doors always open to you.
Listen, Tim, let me say really quick, man, I absolutely love your show. I've been listening for a long time.
Thank you.
Man, you need to get into politics, bro, because I tell you what, you can speak very eloquently. I wish, sometimes when I'm talking to people, I wish I had your patience and your quick knowledge and quick wit to,
Wow.
to switch that around, because, I just don't follow the issues like you, but you need to get into politics because I think you have a real talent for it.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, brother.
Anytime.
Keep rocking, man.
All right, moving it on. Looking in the comments, by the way. Real quick, not Dencal, but Alter Ego, rather. Certainly a supporter of the show. I always appreciate your support, Alter Ego. He says, Tim, stop saying kids are transitioning, not the term. Now, listen, I consider myself to be an ally of every letter of the LGBT community. If it ain't my life, I damn sure do not have the right to interfere with how they want to live their life. However, here's my opinion on it. If you have an ally, don't criticize the small stuff. Like, am I using the wrong term? I'm on your side. And I'm not suggesting that you are part of the community, Alter Ego, but I'm on their side. Okay, if transitioning is not the right word, because I had somebody do this to me before. I was in somebody else's live. This was a couple years ago, and it was someone that had the pronoun of they/them. Now, I'm 52. I'm an old dog. New tricks is a bit difficult sometimes, and I'm willing to work with the transgender community. I'm an ally. Like I said, it's your life. Live it how you may. I'm not going to interfere in any way, fashion, or form. But like the last caller suggested, we grew up during a different era. So give me time to adjust to what I'm seeing before you start criticizing what's coming out of my mouth. I was an ally to this person. Now this looked like a woman in terms of visual, but this person wanted to go by the pronoun them and they. So we're having a debate about some topic, and I kept making the mistake of referring to her as she, because I'm looking at this person on screen and it's clearly a woman. And this person is going off on me, cussing me out and everything. I don't normally throw the insults back. I believe in free speech. And the individual is constantly going off on me because I keep saying her, she, when they want me to call them them or they. Now, I'm making mistakes because I'm trying, but I see a woman on here. I'm an ally. Give me a little bit of time to adjust to words like them and they. When I went to school, those words meant something plural, not one person. You didn't call one person them or one person they. If I called somebody to come to my house and I yelled, I need your help in the phone, I'm on the phone yelling, I need your help, come over here, they kicking my ass. And when they get to my house, there's only one person beating me up. It doesn't fit the grammar. They probably would leave me there and let me continue getting my ass kicked. You said they were kicking your ass, not this one individual. It doesn't fit how I was taught in school. So give people a little bit of time. Give folks a little bit of time. They and them for a 50-year-old referencing one individual, it takes time. I just want to say it takes time. And looking in the comments, Alter Ego says, Tim, to transition means using hormones or surgery. I didn't know that. Because you can transition, a caterpillar can transition into a butterfly. There's no surgery involved in that. I mean, this is where I'm going to push back, because I do believe the LGBT community, just like I mentioned with they and them and those pronouns, they're kind of changing the English language as we know it. Let me be okay with what you're doing without rushing so much. You're starting to change the definition of stuff. Because you can transition. I've never known the term transition before to mean surgeries and all of this stuff. There's a lot of things in life that can transition. Hell, Optimus Prime could transition into a truck. He didn't have surgery to do it. Give me time. That's all I'm saying. I'm an ally, but give me time to work on some of this stuff. Let me go back to the comment section. And like I said, I don't want to insult anybody, but it's happening too fast for folks to hold us to such a high level of accountability. Let me be an ally and work with me like I'm working with the fact that I'm seeing things I've never seen before in my life. Alter Ego, yeah, many times over. Appreciate the had mustaches. I like the open discussion. We the people can coexist, but don't push things on the kids, says Michael. I don't know if you're ever going to get that, because the right is complaining that children are having LGBT issues pushed on them, CRT, racial issues pushed on them. But then Oklahoma passes a law where the Bible is part of the curriculum, and all of a sudden the right decides to shut the hell up. So the argument of I don't want things pushed on my kids is really not a valid argument. It's really just, I don't want to have these issues taught to my kid. You can push the Bible on them. I'm fine with that. So then you're okay with things being shoved down your kid's throat. You just picking and choosing what you like and what you don't. You don't like the LGBT community. Just come out and say that. Stop saying I don't like things being shoved down my kid's throat, because you're okay with the Bible being shoved down their throats. Gen X. So can I transition into a black dude and attend at HBCU? Gen X never disappoints. You got some of the wildest material. Now, Gen X wants to transition into a black dude and attend an HBCU. Wasn't there a white woman that did that? Was going around, I think she was on the East Coast, identifying as black, and they was able to show her parents were white as can be. So it's actually happened before, Gen X. It's actually happened. Let me go back to the box. Don't get caught doing that, though. Continue it on. Moo, the tuxedo. I can't find any folks on the right. I'm trying to bring them up. Moo.
What's up, man?
Not much. So I'm assuming, have you heard anything about Tim Walz that is concerning at all?
I have a lot of stuff for you, my man. So let me get started. First, I want to address something. In 2018, Trump signed the first ever federal menstruation access requirement into law. The First Step Act in 2018 required federal prisons provide menstruation products for prisoners. So again, this whole stupid thing about Tim Walz isn't going to fly. It's going to go right back into MAGA's face, because Trump was actually the first person to sign a bill to require menstruation products in federal prisons. He also then did the CARES Act, which allows employees to use their flexible spending accounts to buy menstruation products with pre-tax dollars. Okay, so we've addressed that at this point. MAGA's defeated once again. As far as Walz' military service, let's keep in mind that Walz wouldn't have had to worry about going into combat if George W. Bush, a Republican president, hadn't allowed the largest terrorist attack on American soil in all history. Then it never would have happened, right? But especially since George W. Bush, after he allowed the biggest attack, terrorist attack on American soil in history, lied to the American public about Saddam Hussein having mass weapons of destruction and yellow cake uranium. So Tim Walz wouldn't have had to worry about it if the Republicans hadn't allowed the largest terrorist attack and then lied to the American public. So I think that takes care of that right there. So let's get into Governor Walz at this point. Governor Walz signed a bipartisan bill to lead Minnesota to 100% clean energy by 2040. Governor Walz established a nation-leading child tax credit, which reduced child poverty in Minnesota by 1/3. Governor Walz signed a historic $1 billion investment in housing into law. Governor Walz legalized medical marijuana. He legalized it for recreational use. Governor Walz has invested millions in workforce development to connect Minnesotans to high-growth, high-demand career fields, to lower costs and to grow Minnesota's workforce. Governor Walz signed into law the largest expansion of voting rights in Minnesota in the last half a century. He restored voting rights for over 55,000 Minnesotans. In 2023, Governor Walz and Flanagan took new action to significantly lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors and middle-class families. They also enacted the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act to provide Minnesotans with emergency assistance and hold insulin manufacturers accountable, expanding workers' rights to make Minnesotans the best state for workers. Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan established paid leave and paid sick days for workers required by all businesses in Minnesota. Governor Walz signed the largest infrastructure bill in Minnesota history into law to rebuild roads and bridges, repair fire stations, water treatment. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Governor Walz signed the largest infrastructure bill to repair taxes every year of his governorship. Every year, dollars. Workers and see what else Governor Walz did. Governor Walz, strong. We've talked about a lot of it, so that should be enough.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. Like I said, a lot of the things you're giving Governor Walz for, so anything that you're doing for, let's say, the poor, the right is going to view that as socialist. So a lot of that stuff, even though you give them credit for it.
Because you're wrong. Why are you wrong? Because the legislature in Minnesota, it does have a majority in the House of Representatives for Democrats, but in the Senate, it's even. So guess what you had to do in order to pass all these bills? Guess what Walz had to do to pass all these bills? He had to get Republicans to go along with them. You're wrong.
He does have a 51% favorability. I mean, the state of Minnesota like him. He's well liked in Minnesota. So I'll leave it at that.
I would also like to say, as far as the DUI goes, Matt Gaetz has a DUI and y'all still vote for him, and he paid a 17-year-old for smacks. So y'all still vote for him. Yeah. So the left doesn't give a crap about the DUI because, again, you guys are weird as hell. You're voting for a guy who lusts after his daughter, right? He paints himself orange, right? And you're voting for a guy who committed sectional assault, right? He committed sectional assault on a couch, right? So nobody cares about Walz's DUI. They care about all the things that I'm talking about, right? All the things that he did for middle-class Americans. That's why MAGA's about to run into the biggest fucking wall of all time.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Somebody in the comments, though, Wayne Woolsey said, I don't vote for stolen valor. What say you?
I say that man probably never served in the military. And as a veteran, I'll tell you right now, when I was up for orders, the Navy didn't have any good orders for me. So I got out. I did the exact same thing Tim Walz did. They didn't have any good orders that Walz wanted. And so he got out. And again, Walz wouldn't have had to go to war if George W. Bush hadn't allowed the largest terrorist attack of all time on American soil. He also blew the surplus that Clinton had because this country had no debt after Clinton left office. We had a surplus. So once again, Republicans came in, ruined the economy, blew the surplus that we had, lied to the American public, got us into a fake war, and bankrupted the country.
All right, Moo. I'll leave it at that. You did a lot of research. You did a lot of You sound like you're working for the Walz team.
Walz is Walz is like Bernie Sanders, except he'll
Don't say that.
You know what I
Don't
mean?
say that shit out loud.
No, it's so no, my dude. This is the return of the blue dog Democrat, right? The return of people like Teddy Kennedy, JFK, the fighters, right? The people like FDR who are just gonna get up there and destroy the Republicans, right? Because right now, none of the things Republicans are talking about are able to stick to Walz. But guess what is sticking to the Republicans? The fact that y'all are cringy and weird as hell, right? You got dudes assaulting couches. You think women should stay in abusive relationships? Yeah. Y'all are weird, man. Your homeboy's up there talking about he'd rather get electrocuted than eaten by sharks. He thinks Hannibal Lecter's a real person. Y'all are weird, man. Y'all are weird ass people, and America knows it now. And y'all are about to lose an election.
We'll see. 90 days to go, Moo. Good talk. All right, moving on with the program. I will say, somebody in the comments said what I was thinking as well when he said he's like Bernie Sanders. Somebody said he's saying the quiet part out loud. Nick E on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to help Tim Walz out for you to yell out that he's he's very similar to Bernie Sanders, because the right is already saying it. He is the farthest, the Harris-Walz team is the farthest left presidential candidates we've ever had in history. So when you come out and say that Tim Walz is like Bernie Sanders, you're kind of confirming what the right is saying. That, by the way, I will say this too, because I know a lot of people on the right do actually believe that Tim Walz is way far to the left. We'll see. I'm not going to totally disagree with it. Certainly Moo is kind of agreeing with it as well. But I will say this. You don't hear about the far right too often. Certainly, if you watch Newsmax, OAN, Fox News, they don't ever talk about the far right. J.D. Vance is far right. So is Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the Trump administration to a lesser degree. You don't hear them talking about that, but I just want to point that out while we're talking about how far left Harris and Walz is. Trump, at the behest of J.D. Vance, that's a far right team. I mean, when you start forcing kids to read the Bible and things, that's far right shit. When you start making a woman bring a baby to term, even if it means her life could be at risk, that's far right shit. We're just not calling it far right. We're pointing to the LGBT stuff and all of that as far left, but we're ignoring the fact that a lot of far right shit is happening too. 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. If you had a 6-3 liberal majority in the Supreme Court, you think the right would not be calling that a far left court? That's a far right court. So the far right is actually happening as well. It's just that many folks on the right favor that. That's fine. But it ain't all just far left up for contention. Far right is here alive and well as well. Literally none of them are far right. Says, I don't know if you admit what far right is. That says Mutos, Mr. Mime or something like that, saying literally none. I think if you ask folks on the right to name a far right politician in America, they would probably tell you none of them exist, because you don't want to admit you got far right politicians out there. You can point them out on the liberal side all day. AOC is far right, and Elizabeth Warren. But when you start asking the right, well, name some far right politicians, they start drawing a blank because they don't want to admit that they exist. Look at in the comments. The Bible is far right, so you're saying the Constitution is far right. Well, the Constitution and Bible should be separate. But if you're now, the Bible itself, is it far right? No. But forcing kids to read it is far right. When you start limiting what religions you favor over others, that is a far right tenet. And I'll tell you right off the bat, there are plenty of far right countries on earth. One of the main constraints of a far right country is they're very religious. All far right countries are very religious, and they're not open to other religions. That's far right. So when you start forcing kids in schools to read the Bible, that's a far right tenet. What do you think they do in Saudi Arabia or Iran or most of the Middle East, Afghanistan? They're far right countries, and religion is forced upon them. Another tenet of the far right. The far right generally does not treat women as equal. I don't think there's a far right country on earth that treats women as equal to men. Women have their place. They have a lane for them. That's something that is common in far right countries. Like I said, the right don't want to admit anything about the far right because this is the kind of stuff that comes out. That stuff that J.D. Vance is talking, that's what happens in most far right countries. That's what happens. He's far right. Looking in the comments, they do not allow Christians to wear a Jesus Christ shirt to school. Why? I don't have a problem with, well, here's the issue though, and I'll go back to the box shortly. I don't have a problem with letting the kid wear Jesus Christ shirt, but the problem is a lot of Christians don't want kids showing up with turbans and Muslim shit. This is a problem of putting religion in schools. You're okay with it when it's your religion, but then when children start showing up with other religions, well, you might be indoctrinating my kid. Let's say a Christian had a child that went to a school and 3 or 4 of the child's friends were Muslim. Maybe the child's friends are telling the kid why the Muslim religion is better than Christianity. The parents are going to have a problem with that. That's why religion doesn't belong in schools. Is you're going to have people teaching their kids that our religion is the one and true religion and all the rest of this stuff is phony. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Beware of false prophets. The Bible teaches you that it is the one true religion, and the other religions teach their subjects the same thing. So all of the kids are going to school telling each other your religion is fake, mine is real, or in terms of Louisiana or Oklahoma, where they're forcing Christian tenets on kids. See, we got the 10 Commandments in every class. They don't have the Quran up there. Your religion is phony. You're creating division in schools on a religious note. It should not be in schools, period. And I'll tell you right off the bat, I can damn sure guarantee you that if you did it in favor of Muslims or some other religion, the Christians would not like it. So you shouldn't be in favor of it when it's done for your religion. Going back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes up to about 50,000. I haven't asked that at all. And you guys have got some lazy thumbs here. Tap the screen, get the likes up on TikTok to about 50,000. On YouTube, we can certainly do about 100. Appreciate you folks that are tuned in. By the way, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. And I see somebody said unpopular opinion, he. All right, fair enough. But it is an opinion. And I'll welcome yours as well, even if it's totally critical of mine. That's how uncensored programming works. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. Nobody gets blocked. Nobody gets banned. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section. You damn sure don't have to agree with the host. If you enjoy civilized dialogue in that format where everybody gets to speak, follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. We're here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central. Electric Wolf 4-5. Good afternoon, Wolf.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Do you favor forcing kids to read the Bible in schools?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm a big believer. This is where I'm kind of like, I don't know, kind of weird. I don't know where I would land. But I'm a big believer in a type of social studies where you would study all religions.
Okay. So now you are MAGA. So you believe what Oklahoma is doing is wrong then?
That's a 10 Commandments thing?
No, that's Louisiana. Oklahoma is making them read the Bible as part of the school curriculum.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a good idea. Even if I were a Christian, well, I am Christian. I'm used to being Catholic. But I mean, who are you going to get to teach that? You know, there's a lot of people that can misconstrue the Bible. Yeah. I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, well, and I see the comments. Camino on YouTube says everyone needs to know Jesus, even the kids.
Well, I mean, that's a good religious belief. I mean, I'm all in for that too. But the thing is, you you can't force it on them, and you shouldn't force it on them, because basically God wants you to come to Him voluntarily. You know what I mean? So that's just the way I look at it. I mean, I'm not a what do you call it? A scholar, but I mean that's just my belief system. I mean, God is good, and God's been good to me, and He knows what a sinner I am, and He knows what a sinner everybody else is. But you got to find Him on your own. Someone wants to give you some advice, knock yourself out, but they shouldn't be forcing it. I mean, that's the only part. But see, that's the extreme that a lot of people forced on us too, because of the fact that they started with the satanic worshiping and the church and putting a statue, shit like that, and then you go to both extremes, and that's what everybody loses.
So that's a far right extreme, forcing religion on you.
Yeah, you shouldn't force religion, or you shouldn't force pronouns. You shouldn't force anything. You shouldn't force beliefs in people.
Now, I just had a chuckle because Moo was in.
You saw how I slid that in there, huh?
No, but that ain't what made me laugh. Moo was in the comments. He said, "I know Jesus. He works at Home Depot," meaning Jesus.
Yeah, see, you know the funniest thing about that. This is the funniest thing about that. Moo doesn't understand. He's stereotyping Hispanics named Jesus, and he's being a racist. No.
Oh, he's being racist? Right? I don't know if that's...
think about it. I'm just interpreting your liberal minds, man. That's just the way I look at it.
Well, before we continue, let me respond to a comment. Judah Snyder, shout out to you, said, who said they are going to force kids on the Bible? Well, in the state of Oklahoma, they passed a law that the Bible is now part of the curriculum. So if your child goes to school in Oklahoma, and this is law right now, it's not a plan in the future. Right now, it is law in Oklahoma. If your child goes to public school there, reading the Bible is part of the curriculum. Doesn't matter what religion they're in. They have to read the Bible. That's who's forcing the Bible on kids, the state of Oklahoma. So have you heard anything about Tim Walz, Wolf?
I mean, I've known of him. I don't really care for him, but I mean, I don't care for him like I don't care for liberals. You know what I mean? I just don't care for him.
What's wrong with liberals?
He's a radical.
What's wrong with a good liberal?
No, he's just not. Well, you know, it's your own fault. You all started with this craziness and stuff like that, so I just lump you all in. I lump you all together, except kind of you, because I know you're voting for Trump, and you told me when we were off the air. But the thing is the way they try to go about. How do I put it? We have so many problems going on in this country and in this world. Liberals are worried about how I address you. How are we gonna pay for food stamps? How are we gonna do little? I mean, it's not that it's not important. It is important. But the thing is, there's a lot of things going on, like all these conflicts in the world that we keep getting into. All this money that we're sending that we're not using on the country, or not.
Wait, hold on. What are you saying? What are you saying? Liberals are focused on the small stuff? Yeah. And you're going to tell me talking about tampons in boys' bathrooms and transgender girls playing for the wrong team, you're going to tell me that's not small stuff?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a culture war, I guess they call it. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, I'm on the other side of whatever you're gonna say the bathroom is. I mean, no, it doesn't matter. It's really come to the point where you're okay with boys going into girls' bathrooms. I'm not. You're okay with guys playing in women's sports. I'm not. That's simple. Those are conversations we can have till the day I die, until it all gets fixed up. But see, that's the platform of Kamala Harris and Walz. That's the only thing they give a shit about. We're talking about serious economy, the wars, stopping them, making sure people stop dying, making sure people are taken care of. What about making sure Americans are taken care of?
What about making sure a kid has lunch when they go to school? Is that not important?
I agree. That's very important, and make sure that our kids are fed and everything else. But the thing is, you can't sit there and tell me that you give a shit about our kids being fed when you're taking money out of our kid and food out of our kids' mouths for people that don't belong here legally. You can't. No, don't give me this school lunches bullshit when you guys are more than happy to be housing people that are non-American in place of Americans. It doesn't matter. You don't have the high road. You don't.
I don't disagree with you that the liberals have a wait, hold on. I don't disagree with you listen, when I say I'm willing to concede a point, damn it, I mean it. I'm not going to disagree with you that the liberals haven't been great on the border. However, the stuff I'm talking about, making sure kids eat in schools and universal health care, the right was saying screw that, the hell no to the Americans even before there was a major. It was saying it when Trump was in office, bragging about how great the border was being taken care of. They still didn't give a damn about children eating in school.
Well, see, the thing is because the problem is, like with this lunch school, the food in school and shit like that. Like, everything gets inflated when it comes to the government. And the thing is, you try to make us eat shit and then tell us that it's good for us. You try to change the menus. I want my shitty pizza. I want my cheeseburgers, hot dogs, corn dogs, shit like that. Don't give me kale. Don't give me, we're going to get rid of Cokes from the vending machines and put in nothing but hydrated water, shit like that. I mean, remember when Michelle Obama tried pulling that bullshit and stuff like that, and people still try to do it. The thing is, I'm talking about just feed the fucking kids.
And give them their food. Well, they can't feed them even the food you're choosing. You're suggesting is the right food. You can't give them anything when the right is talking about removing the funding for children to eat at all. They're not picking and choosing what they should eat. They don't want to give them anything.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't believe what you're saying on that. I think you're exaggerating a little, but I'm not in on that. I mean, I think we should be giving the needy kids their lunches and everything else. I understand liberals want everybody to have a free lunch and everybody to have a free breakfast. I understand that. That'd be great. I would kind of go on your side if you could figure out how to pay for it. But you're not going to be able to pay for that shit because the teachers, the administration of the teachers unions and all them are taking all your money.
What about universal health care? Why are you against that?
I'm in on universal health care as long as you're willing to do a universal diet too. You're willing to take them putting you on a diet if you're too fat. Are you willing to do that?
So I can get universal health care, but you want anybody on government provided health care to go on a diet?
No, if they need it. If they're obese, if they're not taking care of themselves, if they're eating two bags of Doritos when they should be eating a third of a bag of Doritos, things like that. So come on now, you want me to pay for it? You want the government to pay? The government's going to tell you what to do. That's how it works. You're not going to get free health care and keep eating like freaking pigs that we are. No. You're going to eat healthy shit now. Now you're going to eat fucking lettuce instead of chips.
Okay. Well, listen.
It's pretty cold-blooded. I know it's cold-blooded, handsome.
It's very fun.
Come on, tell me I'm wrong. I'd rather pay for a head of lettuce than a shot of insulin because they're diabetic and shit.
In regards to what you said, somebody in the comments on YouTube, Joshua Taylor said, this guy just said he wants children to have cheeseburgers. When we were having the free lunch argument, you talked about fattening foods, but now it's healthcare.
No, come on. Let me tell you, one hamburger is good. But if you want to shove 3 fucking burgers, a triple patty, triple cheese down your fucking throat, come on, then you're being ridiculous. Everything comes in portions. Don't be stupid. I mean, I'm not telling you to give them a triple cheeseburger to a kindergartner. No, just give them a little hamburger, a little pizza day, freaking chicken fries, shit like that. But don't come at me with, they want to give them everything. No, I'm just saying everything in portions. But if you guys are going to bitch and moan that you want universal health care, you're going to get universal dieting too. Like it or not, nothing's for free. You're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to actually follow the rules, and you're going to say, hey, you're going to lose 10 pounds by the next time I sue you, or we're going to cut down on your benefits. Let's see those motherfuckers want it now. Let's see your universal health care now.
So what you're basically saying is no universal health care for fat people.
No, give them universal health care, but they're going to get a diet. They're going to get a diet.
And hang on. You're disagreeing, but I think you actually are. You're saying that if the person, you're going to put them on a diet, what if they don't meet the requirements of the diet? Then do you cut them off?
What do you mean they don't meet the requirements of the diet?
They keep eating.
Well, they better stop.
And if they don't?
The thing is, they don't get the health care.
That's my point. So no health care for fat people.
Well, that's their fault if they want to. Listen, I understand about being big boned. I understand about being overweight. I understand about, hey, I have an eating disorder, things like that. Both skinny and fat. I totally get all that. You're hiding your emotions. You're making yourself fat because someone hurt you, shit like that. I totally understand that. Universal health care, you're going to go to therapy. You're going to get all that shit handled. And on top of that, you're going to stop fucking eating tons of garbage in your fucking pie hole. And you're going to start losing weight because you're diabetic, because you have all these heart problems, all these heart issues, all these kidney issues, all these liver issues, but you don't want to take responsibility for the shit you've done to your body. You want universal health care where I have to pay for it? I'm willing to give it to you if you're willing to go on a diet. If you're not willing to go on a diet, you're not going to get shit.
All right, next question.
We're not going to pay for your bad choices.
All right, next question. Why the hell should we have Trump back in office? What makes Trump worthy of a second term?
Come on, bro. It's fucking Trump. He took a bullet for us, man, and he still stood there and said, you know what? I'm going to run. I'm still going to run. We're just going to get it done. He's going to be the president of the United States due to the fact that he deserves it because he wants to make this country great. Not the world, just the country. And when we become great, so comes the world. The world will come along. They will fall in line. Don't give me this shit that the world laughs at him. The world doesn't laugh at him. The world's knees tremble when he's around because they say, shit, the United States has balls now.
I don't think the world laughs at him. I think the world doesn't like him. Our allies don't like him.
I don't give two shits. I don't give two shits.
Oh, shit. Let me hang up that call. Hold on a second, you two. Say that again.
Yeah. I want them to not like him. I want them to fear him. I want them to worry about what he's going to do next because of the fact that we have. I can't believe how weak we look when we showed our president at a debate who was stumbling, mumbling, and all this. And liberals and Democrats can take all the, hey, they gave us Kamala and that's who we're going to run with. You guys are being duped. Knock yourself out. You guys want to be told what to do? Knock yourself out. I can't help you there. You guys don't want to admit that you're suckers for taking on a lady that didn't even poll in the very beginning when she ran for president, but now she's the best thing in the world when you guys wanted to dump her a few months ago? Come on.
I gotta, you know what I say.
Trump?
Yeah, but you know what I say, Wolf.
Go Trump?
What? No. I'm gonna be honest with you. With Trump promising to give police immunity, that frightens me, man. That frightens me.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to talk to you about that. He's talking that whole immunity thing that they always have and stuff like that. But he says it's not an immunity where they walk up to somebody and
how do you know? How do you know?
Because he talked about it before, and I can't find the video where I heard him because I remember when I heard him, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Because he says it's just for them to be able to do their job legally.
What can the right now as we're talking, what job does the police need to do that they cannot do unless they have immunity? What can they not do right now that they need immunity to do?
That I wouldn't know, but like I said, we've had our discussions about the police. Don't think I'm a big police can do anything they want. I think their cameras should be on 24 hours a day if they're working 24 hours a day, I want those cameras on at all times with no off button and no pause button. I'm
just simply saying the fact that you can't answer that question is what's frightening me. He said he wants to give police immunity so they can do their job. And I'm asking, what job can the police not do right now that they need immunity for?
I think what it is when they go and they arrest somebody and they tackle them to the floor and then right away, oh, it's police abuse and shit like that. It's like, nah, it's taking down a guy that was running. And then they start suing them for shit like that. And I mean, criminals need to follow the rules too of engagement. If you're going to do bad shit and run from the cops and then you get tackled and you smack your face on the fucking ground when they tackle you, sorry, that's part of the job of being a criminal.
Well, until he gives me a detailed explanation, I can't go with it, man. I mean, and by the way, hold on. He also made it clear he's talking about in liberal areas. So for some reason, the cops don't need immunity in the middle of Mississippi or rural Alabama. They only need it in liberal areas. That's frightening.
Yeah, because we follow the rules. We get pulled over and we just sit our asses in the car and get our ticket. I mean, come on, all these liberal areas that you're letting crime run rampant. You know, listen, handsome, this is what drives me nuts about you. You think that when they say criminals, they're talking about black people. We're not talking about black people. We're talking about criminals. It's just criminals. I don't care if you're black, white, brown.
Are there no criminals? Are there no criminals in rural Alabama and Mississippi?
Fuck yeah, absolutely.
Then why didn't he mention giving police immunity there?
In liberal cities, because that's where all the burning and looting and shit was happening. Come on.
All right, you and I disagree. By the way, when you said that because we sit there and get our ticket and we don't run, hell, even the Dukes of Hazzard wasn't compliant with police. They were in rural America, and even the Dukes of Hazzard didn't comply. So the idea that rural Americans comply with police, that's not true. Where do you think the good meth, the good moonshine comes from? They're not complying. But for some reason, those police don't need immunity.
They're not getting pulled over either and then running and pulling guns on cops and shit. Come on now.
You realize how many, if you watch active self-protection or audit the audit or, some of these police, there's a lot of white people, a lot of rural Americans that shoot at cops.
No, and I agree. Like I said, I don't believe cops are above reproach. I don't. I believe that if you're going to be a cop, you better have a stellar record. And I mean a stellar record, because I think a lot of cops, that whole thin blue line thing, where they take care of their trash instead of throwing it out. But it's not just cops that do that too. Politicians do it. Different departments of places, city, county places, municipalities. They take care of their shit instead of throwing it out. But the problem is that the cops have guns or weapons. So that's the most dangerous part. And I agree, but they ought to start looking into getting rid of their trash and calling it out and saying, you all better not hire this guy. He's trouble.
And giving them immunity is just the opposite. I got to move it on, no Wolf. Always a pleasure. We don't agree on shit. You know how it works. Come on back through anytime.
Trump 2024, we'll see you there. I'll go with you to the poll to vote.
90 days. Talk to you later. Looking in the comments and ask him exactly what Trump did for America. Says, when they're going to point to the economy, there wasn't a lot of wars going on. You could afford groceries, inflation. I mean, there's things they're going to point out. California, you can steal as long as it's below $900. I have heard about that. Diaper Donald poops in his pants. I don't favor letting people steal. I have heard about that though. Someone said, what did somebody say? Purple shirt is squirming. Dukes of Hazzard was a TV show. Yeah, it was. So was Cannonball Run and a bunch of other those shows, if you're old as I am. People are still trying to rationalize all the things that they have to hide for Trump just to keep believing in the rhetoric. I do see some of that. I do. Anytime you hear folks saying that Trump was taken out of context, it's usually because Trump don't say something wild, something wrong, something insulting, something crazy, and the only solution is to say, well, it was out of context. I mean, I've never seen one guy who was elected because he's a straight shooter and shoots from the hip taken out of context so much. If he shoots from the hip and tells it like it is, his rhetoric, his statement should be clear as day. It shouldn't be so easy to take him out of context. I've had folks say, well, he was telling a joke here. He was just saying. I brought up yesterday, because we're talking about Tim Walz. Before I go back to the box, and by the way, get your boy up to about 80,000 likes. Tap the screen, 900 plus of you in here. It's a slow news day, but certainly tap the screen on TikTok. Get the likes up to about 80,000. Same on YouTube, smash that like button. Get the likes up to about 120. We can certainly make that happen. I'll go back to the super chat in a minute. Real quick, I talked about I'm having a Biden moment. I've fucking lost my thought. Give me a minute. Literally having a Biden moment. What is your name? I feel weird calling you handsome. Repair and support Tim. Tim. Simple as that. Call me Tim. Appreciate your generosity to the show as well. Repair and support. I'm having a Biden moment. I was about to talk about something. I completely lost my train of thought. Thank goodness this is not a debate where 50 million plus are tuned in. Shout out to President Biden. They have kissed the ring, and that's why it's out of context. Yeah, well, and that reminded me of what I was about to say. Now, we talk about Tim Walz because of the George Floyd riots. Folks are suggesting he let his whole damn town burn up. However, contrast Tim Walz letting his town burn down to President Trump, who often referred to Black Lives Matter as a terrorist outfit, and actually tweeted out, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. I asked a viewer, I think yesterday or a day before, who is MAGA, probably yesterday because that's when Tim Walz came on the scene. They're MAGA, and I asked him, is Trump suggesting that if you see a Black Lives Matter rally going on, a riot rather, not a rally, but a riot, and they're looting, let's say you walk into CVS, and a whole bunch of young Americans are just ripping and robbing every damn thing they can get out of a CVS, a Target, or a Best Buy. Is President Trump suggesting you just go in and the solution is to murder them all? Now, my MAGA viewer, no, he only used looting starts when the shooting starts because they rhyme. What kind of shit is that? It's a joke. It's taken out of context. He only used looting and shooting because they rhyme with each other. This is the kind of stuff you get from Trump. But yeah, when you got a bunch of folks that are on television clearly committing felonious looting, and President Trump tweets out, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, it's obvious what he wants done. It's not taken out of context. He picked the perfect time to tweet out something that is actually in concert with what's happening on a national scale. People are rioting and looting, and he tweets out when the looting starts, the shooting starts. What he's basically saying is you should shoot Black Lives Matter when they do that. But MAGA don't want to admit what he is saying, so they come up with it's out of context. It was a joke. No, he wants to kill him. Just come on, be honest. If you believe that doing that actually, what does this say? Okay, if you believe that doing that is a solution to rioting and looting, just say it. Don't come up with all of this that's taken out of context bullshit. No, you favor what he's talking about doing. He's talking about taking their lives. Looking in the comments, and I see Ace Trades says, nope, you're not that smart. Feel free to state your interpretation of it. You have no hands on your moral compass. If you favor looting, Philip Holmes, I agree with you. Anybody that's going in the store, taking all somebody's merchandise, could be bankrupt in a small business owner. Yeah, I agree with you. There's no hands on their moral compass. None at all. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. It is wrong. It's criminal. It's felonious. You can fill in the blank. But taking the life of somebody doing it is worse. Is worse. There are plenty of people that may have taken something when they were young and have grown up to be a responsible tax-paying American. You want to take their lives because they went in the store and they took 6 or 7 purses or a few boxes of Nike shoes, and you believe the penalty should be loss of life because you have your moral compass on right. Christian nation, my ass, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if somebody was committing a crime like that? Would he suggest they lose their life on the spot? I mean, it would literally look like a massacre if all of the folks that are running around a Best Buy, CVS, or Target, people just pulled out firearms and just started mowing them down because I didn't want them to run out of here with a TV. Christian nation, my ass. Let me go back to the box. And I'm not defending any damn body that riots or loots. But that being a solution, wow. Going back to the box, user Dennis, good afternoon. He says you clearly are. I don't know how else to convince you. User Dennis, good afternoon.
What's going on?
Not much at all. Good to have you on. We were asking, have you heard anything about Tim Walz? But what about my spiel that it should not be kosher, for lack of a better term, to take the life of a riot or looter? Am I getting it wrong?
I I know when they had riots and stuff like natural disasters and looting was going on, they have authorized the National Guard to use deadly force at those times. But I think I think Trump was trying to say that they ought to handle them a lot harder, a lot harsher, instead of letting them bond out for nothing. Kamala was starting this GoFundMe to let people out from Black Lives Matter. I think he was saying she was going in the wrong direction, and he wants to handle them a lot more harsher. I wouldn't agree with killing, unaliving people over something like that, but it's another thing to turn a blind eye and help them out of jail and send them right back in. That's my opinion.
So then I have to ask the obvious question I'm sure a lot of liberals are thinking. How do you respond to Trump suggesting that he's going to let the January 6th protesters out? The ones who went in there.
I hope he does. I hope he does. I think you got one. Okay, you got that one guy that was a FBI plant. What, Ray Epps. He's over there on 12, 20, 30 different broadcasts, inciting riot, inciting looters. He's egging it on all the way. We think he's a plant from the FBI. They have to prosecute him, and they give him a misdemeanor. The less they can give him is what they give him. And on the other hand, an old lady with cancer gets 20 years. So I think it was people that actually did stuff that were in there breaking the law, not the people that just came in and were let in the doors that don't know what the hell's going on. I think we need to let all those people out because they did away with due process, habeas corpus. They did away with the Constitution and the way they handle those people. And the January 6th committee lied like a rug. There's people that have proof that Trump tried to call the National Guard in. And there was a deposition that a man gave that the January 6th committee withheld. And anyway, I think the people that weren't convicted of violent stuff, I think he needs to.
Let me ask you: did anything bad happen on January 6th at all?
Oh yeah, something really bad happened.
What happened?
People that went in there and were rioting and being vandals and stuff. They need to get what they get what they deserve.
Were they MAGA? Or were they who did it? Was it MAGA that went in there and did that? Was it Antifa?
You know what? I think there was a lot of MAGA that were. There was some MAGA that was pissed off. There were some people that probably went in there and planned for it. I don't know everybody's mind. And a lot of people got egged on. We're already angry at the elections and thought the election was stolen, and they're pissed off, and it wouldn't take much to get them going. I think it's like entrapment. I think a lot of those people were entrapped. They were emotional. They were feeling like their election had been stolen. They've been watching these videos of ballots coming out from under a freaking table, water mains busting all over.
But wait, here's the issue.
Miraculous win in the middle of the freaking night in all these states. So there was a lot of people that were high on emotion, and I think they were egged on. So that's my opinion of that.
Yeah, but here's the issue. Why are we 4 years out and we still have no proof that the election was taken from Trump?
Why is it 50 years and we still don't know who killed our freaking President Kennedy? When the deep state's involved, you don't never freaking find out. You wouldn't find that out unless you convened a military tribunal, because those people lie for a living. I tell you, the biggest danger we have is the deep state. Now, right now.
Wait, hold on. You're covering a lot. Is it possible? Is it remotely possible at all that maybe Trump is lying about the election himself?
I don't know if I'd use the word lie. I think they could have been circumstances where they all came together, the ballots and we had people that were there to watch the elections that were escorted out by the police because they complained. Watchdog groups that were Republicans. So if all these people coincidentally are all wrong and all the evidence is wrong, these ballots that can't be matched up, if all that's wrong, then I can see him being mistaken but thinking he's right. And I'm not going to think he's lying.
Why won't he, if he's telling us that he won by a landslide, why won't he himself provide proof?
Well, I know when I was watching all this come about, we had one state where the governor wouldn't convene the legislature so they could investigate it. We had other states where they went to the courts and they said they didn't have standing. I don't think we've had a very good investigation. And the one guy on Trump's team that said this was the most honest election there ever was, well, that was his job. I don't think he would come out and say, well, it's all bull. But I will say this, Bill Barr, the attorney general at that time, he was Brutus with a knife in Trump's back from the day the Bushes sent him over there. That was Trump's biggest mistake was in his attorney general pick.
Let me ask you this: is there any member of Trump's administration at all, including Mike Pence, any member of his administration at all that's publicly saying he won?
I didn't like many of them at all. I thought most of them were mistakes, and I thought it was a weakness on his political ignorance.
Dennis, the whole his entire administration. You think all of them are like that?
I think look at the people that he had. He had some businessmen that had things in their record that got him metaphor, that got him put in jail. He had people that had bad marks on them that got found out. I think he did not have the political experience to know who to pick. I think he could have done better on his entire cabinet.
So even a novice that don't know what the hell he's doing is not likely to make a 100% bad pick choice. I mean, everybody he picked was bad, 100%. Not one of his support, not one member of his administration says he won the election.
You couldn't survive. You could not survive under the scrutiny. Under the scrutiny that Trump's people get and the Trumps get, you would be in jail for something. You have to be almost Saint Agnes of Rome to walk through that gauntlet of hell that the people in the Republican Party get when they come for him. I think he should have been a lot more savvy, and he didn't understand the den of thieves he was walking into.
So you believe 100% of his administration was among the den of thieves? Every guy he picked.
Now, I'm not saying 100%. You know, I didn't really keep up with that. There was so much going on during his term as president. So many impeachments, so many allegations. So getting attacked day and night by the media, 24 freaking hours a day, 7 days a week. There was a lot going on. And it was all because, look, you can look, what's the guy that owns Facebook? The little gimpy-looking goofy boy.
Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Zuckerberg talking about what the FBI had him do on their search engine as far as... Yeah,
but hold on, but Dennis, that doesn't explain why his entire administration says he lost. Is there a single Republican, not Democrat, Republican governor or Republican senator that is saying Trump won the 2020 election? Is there one of them doing it? Just one?
Senator or...
governor.
I think Gatz says he won. I think there's several that say that. So, you know.
Who are you talking about? Senators, not Congress. Senators.
Oh, okay, senators. I don't know. I don't know if there's any of them. I think it's a political landmine they don't want to step in. So when they might believe it, but they're not going to admit it because they have to run. It's politics.
You think the whole of Washington is lying about Trump? All of them are doing it in sync. The whole Washington, the whole apparatus is doing it all in concert.
Well, let me ask you a question. You think Joe Biden, they wasn't lying for 4 years that the old guy couldn't freaking find his way to the toilet by himself? You don't think the whole people that were behind him was lying? What world are you living in? Yeah, people lie, and they lie, a bunch of them. And sycophants lie more than others. So I believe you can have a lot of people lying. Yeah, I believe there's people, congressmen and senators, that believe the election was stolen, and they won't admit it because of political fallout. Just like people that have hard stance. Like now they're calling Tim a moderate Democrat. Yeah, right. Yeah, I heard 27 freaking fake news media hosts going, yeah, he's a moderate, and I'm like, man, there ain't nothing moderate about this guy. I think she lost the election with that pick. I think that was a gimme and one of the biggest political blunders. Maybe she'll correct it, but she fell on her face when she picked him.
What do you think about J.D. Vance?
I'm not impressed with him, but I'm not so disappointed that I'm ready to go jump off a bridge or anything. I don't think I think what he brings is a quietness, a family man that's going to pretty much stay out of the limelight and not have any bombs blow up underneath him. That's about all I can say about him. I'm not excited about him, but I'm not scared of him. So that's about the best he can do. If Trump does anything, I hope he brings Gatz in as his attorney general. He needs somebody like Kennedy had when he had his brother. You need somebody like Obama said his attorney general was his wingman. He's going to have a freaking wingman to swim with these sharks in Washington and with the media. But I wanted to ask you a question.
Real quick, go ahead. I got to move it on, but go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, you know that Rachel, what's her name, Dazelle, the girl that worked as a NAACP president chapter in Spokane, Washington for all those years, and she was a white woman? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. What's the point?
Yeah, she pretended to be black. She dyed her
Yes.
skin and all that, had the curls and
Yeah, what about her? Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And finally, she got called out. My question, and I don't care if she's black, Kamala's black or not black, but I just don't want people to lie about it like that lady did.
I know where you're going, but keep going.
Okay, my question is, Kamala's great-grandfather, the Irish guy, the Jamaican, came from Ireland, now in the 1700s. Now, how many black people were coming as immigrants? He was a white man. All his children, this white Irishman, immigrated, and all his children become Jamaicans. So, she's claiming that the Jamaican side is where her black blood comes from. Her Jamaican side was a white man that immigrated from Ireland. So I'm just asking, maybe you got the information that can tell me, where does her black blood come from, besides Willie Brown?
My God.
I'm in DNA.
You a fool, man. You a fool. Let me say, oh my God, the Willie Brown thing was hilarious. Let me just say, where does her black blood come from? Dennis, if she was in America in 1950 when we had separate water fountains, you think she's going to drink from the white water fountain?
She wasn't in America. She was in Canada.
I'm asking you though, if she was in America during that time, what water fountain was she had to drink from?
She wasn't in here.
That ain't what I'm asking you. I'm saying if she was, if we're talking speculation, if that woman was here in America in 1950 when they had separate water fountains, what fountain would she be ordered to drink from?
Well, I know what fountain she would be forced to drink from.
You're free to say it. Which fountain?
Yeah, she would be forced to drink from the black fountain because of the color of her skin.
That's where her blackness comes from. The color of her skin.
So you're saying that DNA doesn't matter, that you accept her as a black woman because of the plight of her skin and oppression and racism she would face because of that. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this. In America, you can only be one of four things. You're either white, you're black, you're Hispanic, or you're Asian. That's what we call everybody in this country. We don't call people by nations of origin. If your mom or dad was born in Germany, but came over here and gave birth to you, you are a white American. Nobody's going to call you German because your mom is German when you were born here. You are a white American. Her parents were born other places, but she was born here. You're either white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. You're an American, and you're one of those. That's it. There is no other stuff. Or Indian. And yeah, Indian is another one. My fault. Indian is in there too. But if you're born on American soil, you are American, and you have one of those other designations.
I agree. I'm Louisiana and I'm Cajun, so we don't really care so much about all that because we are a very diverse and mixed people. We're Amalettos. We have a lot of black blood. We have French ancestry. We're pretty much where I'm from. Don't really care about that too much. My people.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But before I let you go, let's say she went out and robbed a liquor store. And they had to put a wanted poster up for Kamala Harris. Do you think they would have the word black on there anywhere?
Yeah, I'm not going to be facetious. Yeah, I believe they would. They would have
All
flag.
right.
I agree with you.
All right. That's all I'm asking. I got to move it on, Dennis. Good conversation. That's our first time talking.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Don't forget to vote for Trump. Y'all have a good one.
Come back anytime, Dennis. Oh, my God. Appreciate it. Look at it in the comments. Miran, thank you. Tim, what do you think about J.D. Vance? America, I think I'm going to hide my couch. J.D. Vance is far right. J.D. Vance is a far right politician. You're not likely to hear that from the right, but he is a far right politician. In my opinion, based on what I've seen, he has a viewpoint that women have a specific purpose in relationships in the country, and that is to give birth. I do believe that J.D. Vance is a far right politician, very Christian. The evangelicals love him. I don't think he would have a lot of, I don't think he would have the time of day for Muslims or people of other, I mean, certainly, yeah, I can't call him anything else but a far right politician, in my opinion. Jay Roger, thank you for the super chat. They always avoid those questions, Tim. Yeah. The idea that Kamala Harris is not black to me is hilarious. As I stated, if she was here during the Jim Crow era, she would be as black as I am. Period. As I mentioned, if the police had a warrant out for her arrest, it would have black down there on the affidavit. Every facet of American life, from the time this country was founded and became a nation until now, people would be referring to her as black. In every facet of life. I don't know why all of a sudden she gets Jamaican and Indian. No, I mean, eventually if you go up far enough in my heritage, people came from Africa. I don't go around identifying as African. People call me African American, but I consider myself to be black. You're either black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or as somebody pointed out, Native American. That's really it. If you're born in America. Now, if you came over here by way of migration, then yeah, you may still be called Mexican or whatever. But if you were born here, born on U.S. soil, it doesn't matter where your parents are from. You're going to be an American, and they're going to call you one of those designations. It's simple as that. Looking in the comments, they sure accept Nikki Haley as white, says SGB72. Thank you for the super chat. They didn't when she ran for president. They didn't when Nikki Haley was running against Trump. The notion that they accepted her as white temporarily was suspended. You had folks on X and on right-wing sites using her full Indian name to point out that she is not white. So she lost her whiteness for a short period of time, but otherwise you would be right. Just because a kitten is born in an oven, damn, doesn't make it a biscuit. Okay, G, I'm going to leave that comment alone. That name is G. By the way, folks, tap the screen when we say it is indeed uncensored dialogue. We go left of Bernie Sanders from having dinner with Q. Now, I think today we've kind of demonstrated it. We've had callers from the entire spectrum is the word I'm looking for. And that's what we do every day, generally. I got somebody around here with a lawnmower. So tap the screen, get the likes up to about 110 on YouTube. 1,100 of you folks in here. I do appreciate that. You could be anywhere you want to be this warm Wednesday. It's an honor having you here with me. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand when you're in the box or you're in the comment section and you have a different opinion than everybody else, nobody gives a damn because it's all about free speech. You don't have to agree with anybody else. You don't have to worry about anybody telling you what to say. That's how free speech works. Look at the comments. Politically incorrect. We are all brother and sister of a nation. I like that. Mud Life, 1776. I do like that. Blaskowitz, good evening or good afternoon. If you are not a native, you are not American, says J4F. All right. If you use DNA, then everybody's a black person. I like that one too. If you go far enough back, chances are you got a little bit of black in you. Continuing on with the program. Thank you folks for tapping the screen. Sunshine Peach. Good afternoon. Oh, what am I here? Maggie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here. I only have a few minutes, but
the floor is yours.
I'm a Trump supporter. I think that Kamala did make a huge mistake when she chose Walz.
Who should she pick? Who should she have picked?
I don't know.
And the reason why I'm asking you that is because I believe that no matter who she picked, you would have thought the same thing. If she had picked Shapiro or she had picked the astronaut in Arizona, I think you would have found them all to be far left.
No, I mean, an executive order to go or to have the operation. I don't know the wording for that, but the sex change operation for children. And
who's done that? Who's done that?
Walz. He was governor.
You're saying Governor Tim Walz passed a law that required a sex change operation for children?
For children if the parents interfere, CPS picks up the children.
So what if a 9-year-old wanted to change their gender, they could do that, is what you're saying?
I don't think you can below 14 at this point, but some are pushing for that.
So let's clear it up then. So if a 14-year-old wanted to change their sex in the state of Minnesota, you're saying under Tim Walz they could do that? Maggie?
I don't know.
What are you saying? I'm trying to get clarity. What are you saying?
Easily researched.
Okay, you started out by talking about children having sex change operations. What exactly are you saying?
Well, that's what I don't like any of the Title IX changes. The men in sports, I don't like the men in the bathrooms, the dressing rooms, any of that. But what I really want to talk about is what I've been talking to many different liberal women, and they always only have 2 points. Abortion, well, you know.
I know.
Trump, they hate Trump. That's the only reason they're voting for Kamala. So what reason, and she's a failure, she's done nothing. She won't talk to the press now. She won't answer any questions.
Did you drop Maggie? I'll give her a moment to get her point across. I don't know if she dropped out or had a phone call. First thing I will see while we're holding on to see if she comes back, the idea that she didn't do much, I mean, and that's kind of par for the course for a vice president. Mike Pence was Trump's vice president during a time when MAGA believes the country was being ran the best it ever has in history. You don't hear MAGA bragging about all of the great things that Mike Pence did. It's all Trump. My caller dropped, so I'll move it on. Like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor. I wanted to hear her point, but maybe she had a call coming, but she did drop out. The vice president is not known for a bunch of accomplishments. So people keep asking, well, what does she do as VP? What do any of them do as VP? I don't know why the standard changed once she got in there. Because like I just stated, folks believe Trump did an excellent job. And I don't hear MAGA bragging about Mike Pence's performance at all. And they were favorable to Mike Pence right up to January 5th. They didn't have a problem with Mike Pence until after January 6th. That was all of Trump's term. That's only a week or two before Trump left office. And there is nothing they're bragging about that Mike Pence done that was so great when he was in office. Vice presidents don't do much. Jay Roger, she sounds very confused and not well informed. I'll leave it at that, but I did ask her, because she came on, she's really concerned about the transgender stuff. And I did ask her right off the bat at what age, and she wasn't solid on it. My humble opinion is she's probably getting right-wing talking points that she hasn't really absorbed totally. Before I go back to the box, here's the issue I have. I think we're past the point where the right can deny that they really do not like the transgender community. I follow a hell of a lot of Fox. I watch so much Fox. I debate with so many Fox News personalities, and in fact, I was debating with Tom Sullivan, who's a former Fox News talk person, I called this radio show 2 days ago when I got off the air. I've talked to so many Fox News personalities that they invited me to the studio back in 2015. A lot of you folks will see the photo I often put up of me sitting at Bill O'Reilly's desk. I was there the year to 5, became a program with Bob Becko, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Eric Bolling, and Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld was still there. So I watch a lot of Fox. I have never heard the right say anything about the transgender community that's not negative. Any story that is discussed in regards to the LGBT community, particularly the transgender, it's a negative story. They're in the wrong bathroom. They're promoting drag on children. They're doing something wrong. If the right is talking about the LGBT community, they are doing something wrong. Period. They're not hiring any gay personnel on television. They're not doing anything positive at all. It's 100% negative. But they're saying we love them. As somebody pointed out, grooming. They're grooming children. They're shoving stuff down their throat. They're in the wrong bathroom. Every story covering the LGBT community from the right is negative. 100%. But they'll swear up and down they don't have a problem with that community. All your stories are negative. I mean, can you not find a gay guy that's a doctor? Maybe a friendly dude that's an actor? Can you get Neil Patrick Harris on there for a segment? Is every single thing you come up with negative? And then, well, we don't have a problem with them. I'm going to tell you that's a tough sell. When there's, I mean, look at all of the callers that call in. Every person I talk to that's on the right, if they're discussing the LGBT community, it's something negative. But there's no hatred toward that community at all. Going back to the box, how about stop grouping people together? That's the American way. I mean, all Democrats are socialists. That's grouping people together. I don't think you can stop doing that. Tim, there are gay women on Fox. Name me one of them. After Shepard Smith left, name me one of them. Who's on Fox that's openly gay? Julia Banderas? Name me one of them that's, and by the way, I met her too. Name me one that's openly gay. Harris Faulkner's married. None of them are gay. What are you talking about? Jesse Waters, that's hilarious. Jesse Waters is married too. His mom calls in the program. Takesha Bowie. Jesse Waters.
Hey.
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing good. What do you think?
Let me say this right quick, because your last guests need to quit playing. You're coming up here, you're talking about stuff you don't know. You changed the age of 14 times. You're telling us that the parents they're gonna take the children to CPS if you try to stop them from having an operation. Now you know good and well the hell that ain't going on.
Yeah, but I wanted to narrow it down just to get her. She couldn't even give me because I don't believe it's going on either.
She made it up, Tim. Just like she came with that same talking point. She won't interview. She won't talk to anybody.
Well,
that's all they say.
Well, I do agree with her. Kamala Harris is.
But Tim, it's the same. I want them to come up with something new. Be original. Stop repeating the same. Just come up with your own reason why you don't like this lady. Stop jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Well, Kamala Harris should do interviews, though, Takesha. The fact that she's not doing interviews.
The lady gonna interview when she get ready. Number one, the woman just been confirmed the nominee. Get that lady time. Damn.
It's been 2 weeks.
Damn.
2 weeks.
Damn, Tim.
She got an interview, Takesha.
It's just like saying, my man pumped 2 times. Come on with this nut. Get a man time. Get a lady time. Damn.
All right, we only got 90 days until election day, though, Takesha. She got to give an interview.
Let me tell you something. I'm so pumped and hyped. I've been watching these. Let's talk about the rally size, since that's something they like to brag on, because Biden was in the basement. Kamala out there in the streets, baby. You been seeing the size of them rallies, my boy.
Impressive. And I'll tell you this, And they can't say, because Megan Thee Stallion was at the one in Atlanta, they can't say this was a concert. That rally yesterday did not feature any entertainers.
You should have seen the one today. It was packed like a moving van. Packed in here. I'm excited. I love him. Listen, I love Walz. Walz is petty like me, and I love it. I love a petty man.
Yeah, I gotta say that among liberals, particularly even when they announced that Kamala was going to replace Biden, there was some excitement. But that yesterday when Kamala spoke and introduced Tim Walz, and then he got up there and, according to liberals, now I know MAGA don't think shit of this, but liberals believe he knocked it out of the park yesterday.
Let me tell you something. It was a home run. I thought it was Barry Bonds up there on the stage with Kamala, man. Let me tell you. Tim, I've been so excited. You know, them women probably get excited off their roles, but I was excited off of Walz.
So you do.
I feel like he did a wonderful job of an introduction, especially when he said if J.D. Vance can get off that couch, you know, because, you know, he is the fabric fumbler, you know. So, Tim, I'm going to make this picture. I'm going to get a couch, right? And I'm going to put a Nike sign on it. And I'm going to stand J.D. Vance next to the couch. And the caption going to say, I just do it.
I'm going to leave that alone. Oh, my. Oh, my God.
I'm so passing right now. But come on, let's be for real. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What
the fuck am I supposed to say after that?
What's the question for the day, friend? What's the question?
I don't even know what to say now. So, Jesus, Takesha.
I'm satisfied with it for real, though.
So you do believe, you do believe he's a good pick. What about folks suggesting that, you know, stolen valor, he quit the military and left his unit hanging and all of this stuff that's coming out?
I know they ain't finna say that when Bone Spurs 5 straight times avoided even going. That man served his time. And Leaky Cheeks wouldn't even go and look at the field the folks fight on. They got to come up with something that you can't combat them with when it comes to Trump. Trump dodged serving 5 whole times.
Well, let me give you this one. You know I always give you the tough ones.
Come on, give it to me, Tim.
Ooh. And by the way, tap the screen, folks. Get the likes up. Give it to me as well. 140,000. You guys know we don't block, ban, or censor. You're going to know after this comment coming in.
Let's go.
And by the way, follow the program on TikTok and subscription on YouTube if you will. Now, this is aimed at me and you, Takesha.
Come on, baby.
Theta 13, repping Thetas, says, y'all making me ashamed to be black. It's really sad. Don't mention nothing factual at all. Are we disgracing the black race?
He's disgracing the black race, and he needs to quit, take that fade off his damn name and quit being a silk-sucking sucker for Donald Trump. Donald Trump ain't steadying your ass. The Republicans ain't steadying your ass. They ain't doing nothing for you. They don't do nothing but talk negative about you. Who is Tim Scott? Well, I'm just Muslim. Y'all out here disrespecting. Y'all make me shame to be black. Whatever.
All right, I always got to give it to you. You don't have no problem giving it back.
Whatever, Tiny Tim Topper, leave us alone. We can have fun. We can say what we want to say. We glad to be black. It ain't gonna change. Our skin tone don't change because we didn't wake up one day black. We've been black from the jump. And if you're ashamed, you're just ashamed of yourself.
Would you rather be maybe Jamaican and part Indian instead?
I would rather be nothing but what the good Lord made me.
I like it. So at the end of the day, Tim, Walz is like, what about you didn't wish you had to pick nobody else? You were good with Walz from the get-go.
Listen, I in the beginning, because I didn't know anything about him, I was going for Shapiro. But after she picked Walz and I started researching and I realized that he was a human being. I thought it was nice that he cared about every child eating at school because kids do learn better when they're not hungry. Now they call him Tampon Tim. Let me tell you something. I think it's wonderful to have sanitary items for girls when they have an accident.
In the boys' bathroom?
I taught my sons at a young age. Whenever you see a girl and she has soiled herself, there's nothing to laugh at. You get her the help that she needs.
Well said. All right, Takesha, as always, it's a pleasure. Got folks on YouTube talking about I like this caller. Damn right I enjoyed Takesha. Always a good conversation. Well stated. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Looking in the comments, Jay Roger. Thank you for the super chat. Jay Roger says, you guys are representing very well. So shout out to Jay Roger for pointing out that we are representing the African-American community with a little bit of decency, unlike what Theta 13 stated. Continue with the comments. Trump did more for blacks than Biden and Obama and Biden and Harris. Jeanette, you might have to convince that, you might have to get the black community to also agree with that. I don't think most in the black community would agree that Trump was doing so much for blacks. But I understand that Trump does believe he's done more for blacks since Abraham Lincoln. I think that's asinine. That is incredibly bad to make a statement like that. Completely skipping over Lyndon Johnson and the Civil Rights Act. Wasn't Lyndon Johnson the one quoted as saying, I'll have these N-words voting for me for the next 200 years because he gave us the civil rights? You don't hear Trump saying that, do you? You don't hear Trump bragging about, I've done something for blacks that is so great, I'll have their support for the next 10 months. So maybe he needs to convince more black people that he's done all of that stuff. I'll just say that. I feel sorry for Trump supporters, says Red Hammer. Why? Trump supporters believe that they have the right guy. Why do you feel sorry for him? Trump believing that he did more for blacks than anybody besides Abraham Lincoln is absolutely hilarious, says Waiter Oliver. Yeah, I don't think 10%, and I'm being generous, I don't think 10% of the black community believes Trump has done that much to put him right under Abraham Lincoln. I think that, but then again, listen, in defense of Trump, he's known for exaggerating. I know more about COVID than anybody. I know more about the war on the ground than the generals. I mean, he's known for exaggerating. To me, that one is borderline insulting, though. I don't know what would make him say that, but he does believe in exaggerating. So we'll leave it at that. Trump supporters seem to hate and spew venom and seem to think fellow Americans are enemies. Based on what? You think Trump's, I'd have to get you to clarify that. Trump's for everyone. Trump is for everyone. Give me one good reason to vote blue. I'm scared if we have 4 more years under the blue, says Damian Sluter. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 170. 1,100, and you still rolling with your boy. I do appreciate that. Follow the program. TikTok, feel free to smash that like button and subscribe on YouTube. One reason to vote blue, I can give you dozens of reasons. I can give you a dozen reasons to vote red. I can give you a dozen of reasons to vote blue. Depends on what your principles are, what you stand on. For instance, if you are a Muslim American that practices the Muslim religion, there's no way in hell you should be voting red. If that is your biggest concern, particularly in a state like Oklahoma where they're forcing kids to read the Bible, vote blue. If you believe a woman should have a right to choose, you're going to tell me you should vote red? There's a lot of reasons to vote blue. Common sense gun laws, tuition forgiveness, universal health care. You may disagree with every damn thing I mentioned, and you have a right to do so. But that damn sure is a reason to vote blue if you agree with that stuff. Don't ever get under the notion of thinking your way is the only way. That's why we believe in uncensored free speech here. Because nobody has all the damn answers. Don't ever think there's no reason at all to like the other side, indicating that your side is perfect or it has all the answers. That's never the case. Continuing on with the program, I do appreciate you folks that are holding on, as Simply Red would say. I keep holding on. Toothpick 818. Good afternoon, Toothpick. That's a hell of a name. Toothpick, good afternoon.
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. No reason to vote blue. What say you?
That's hilarious.
Okay. What do you think about Tim Walz? Did she make a good pick?
I'm actually surprised because I think she did. I heard some of his talks, and I heard how he I think, all right, look, this isn't what I think, but I know that other people feel this way. People want, and like white people want to feel like they're kind of, you know, and especially like moderates or fence sitters or people who are like undecided, I feel like this is a good choice for them because he speaks to them, because he comes off as a very small town guy that, like, you know, he's like, oh, I went to school, you know, with like, I don't know what number, it was like 24 people, and I was related to half of them, and I think that's a good choice for those kinds of people. And I think, you know, that he, you know, served in the military, and, you know, he was a teacher, a bunch of other stuff. I'd have to go back and really take a good look, but I think that's a good choice. I was kind of leaning more towards like Shapiro, because he could probably give Pennsylvania to Kamala. But I mean, hey, I'm not against the guy that we got now. So I'm actually pretty stoked. I'm actually for us on the blue side, it's looking way better than it did probably like a month ago before.
Oh hell yeah! If you lean left, it was doom and gloom on the Democratic side. Now I would say this even on the right, you can tell the difference because Trump was riding high. I'm going to assume even the folks who believe Trump is going to win would rather go back to how things were a month ago than where they are right now. I think both sides can agree to that.
And look at it this way. Remember the famous picture that Trump got? I don't really even see it anymore. Like, you know, because like on TikTok, I get both right-wing stuff and left-wing stuff, and I'm not seeing that picture anymore. So all this Kamala and especially this Tim Walz stuff drowned all that out. So
yeah, I don't know what Trump can, because Trump is very intelligent he's a genius in terms of getting in the media and drawing the media spotlight. But yeah, he certainly is taking a back seat because the hype surrounding Kamala is so great right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm all for it. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm more of a progressive. I definitely have my criticisms about like Kamala and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's like definitely not the orange guy.
So what's wrong with Trump? Why not Trump?
I mean, what isn't wrong with him? Project 2025. I mean, look at his rambling. Look at all of his like terrible policies.
What do you mean by rambling? Rambling. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you look at a lot of his like current like rallies, like he doesn't even fill the places. I mean, that's not really. It doesn't matter. Like the point is, all of this stuff is just culture war stuff and just rhetoric, and there's no policy. And I mean, now who's the old guy? You know what I mean? Yeah. Now who's the old guy in the room?
So at the end of the day, you do feel energized with the Harris-Walz team better than the Biden-Harris team.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I'm a progressive, so you know, in a better world, I know that there are better candidates than them. But like, obviously, this is way better a place we're at now than where we were with Joe Biden.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd find a Democrat out there that would disagree with that right now. But I got to cut it short, toothpick. I do got to move it on. First time talking.
Hey, always a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
First time talking.
No, several times.
Oh,
I like to consider myself your Hispanic correspondent. Because every time that I've come on, I always make comments about like the Latin American community. So, yeah.
Well said. Appreciate it. Like I said, I'm having Biden moments today, but I appreciate you coming through, Toothpick. Thank you.
Same.
All right, moving on with the program. I still feel Biden should have resigned and made Kamala president right now. Sean Banks, why would you do that? That's one of the reasons, in my humble opinion, why Kamala's probably not taking interviews. If you're riding, let's say you go sailing, you have your sail up. Now, your boat has a motor as well. But if the wind is blowing, why would you waste gas by turning on the motor? She is riding she got the wind at her back. She's riding in the polls, doing very well, very competitive to Trump. Why would you go out there and turn on the motor and cause, if she goes out and has an interview, or as you state, Biden resigns and she takes over as president, that gives her detractors far more material to scrutinize. If Kamala Harris has an interview, I don't give a damn what she says. There's going to be something about that interview that the right can point out that's wrong for America. If she ran the country for the next 90 days, there's going to be plenty of shit the right is going to say that she did wrong. Why turn on the motor when you're getting enough motion from the sail? Just want to point, I agree that she should do interviews, but they will come at a cost. The right is going to scrutinize those interviews word by word. If she slips up, she gaffes, she loses trains of thought. Hell, if she's like yours truly and she blinks too much, all of that will be used against her. Why turn on the motor? We're moving fast enough now. That's how a lot of folks view it. Going back to the boxing, I see somebody says she will slip. Right. And everybody watching it on the right is looking for her to slip. Why give them ammunition? Let it play out the way it's playing out. She can't explain inflation. She's going to say something that you can criticize, 100% guaranteed. I don't think anybody can give an interview that's perfect. I mean, a lot of folks believe Tim Walz did a really good job. Look at all the criticism coming out. I had somebody, MAGA, supporting Trump, that actually pointed out he wasn't the head coach of the football team. He was like the lineman coach or the defensive coordinator, and they brought that up. They actually went and checked into his coaching career and brought up that he wasn't the head coach. So, yeah, any interview you give, people are going to find something in it that they can take and twist and turn. That's just the way it goes. Looking in the comments, Republicans mad she's not doing interviews, but not mad Trump won't debate. Good point. Going back to the box. Continuing on with the program, thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Dalbert Morrison, don't think we've talked before. Good afternoon, Dalbert Morrison. How are you there?
Great hearing from you, Tim.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I notice you guys not talking about the amount of debt what Donald Trump's response for. Which every president have a problem with the in the presidency. Bush responsible for the war in Iraq, right? And and now it's come on to Donald Trump's times where he was responsible for the government when the C-19 hit. Why you don't take responsibility for that? You guys don't hit him on that?
You're saying that Trump should take responsible for COVID?
I said he's not taking responsible for COVID. That it happened on his watch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, how do you believe Trump handled the pandemic?
Huh?
How do you believe Trump handled? Did he do a good job with the pandemic?
No, man, he do a bad job.
Oh.
You know about the pandemic long time ago. You have the rally in front. You have the rally same way with people. Yeah, with a lot of people there. He killed all the guy there. What's his name? The guy who was responsible for the pizza thing. The pizza, Godfather Pizza. What's his name again?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Remember the guy who might go to his rally? What was running 999? You remember that guy?
You're talking about, he died. Herman Cain.
Remember, he responsible for that guy dead too.
Wow.
Because he forced that rally there. He forced it down those rallies. Why people not hold him accountable for all these things?
Now, are you born in? You sound like you got an accent. Are you born here in America?
Yeah, I do. I got children just like
Kamala,
the vice president. I got children just like her. You know what I mean? I got 5 children here, born in America. So you want to tell me they cannot run for president? And my wife is American.
So you're likely to vote for Kamala Harris then?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. When Trump started with Hillary Clinton, I got a lot of people to vote for Trump. Trust me. I went to his rally and stuff, but Trump's turned off my kids, them, man. Each time he go on the TV, everybody run in the rooms. I'm the only person watching the rally on the TV when we in the room and watching the thing.
Wow.
In the hall and watching the thing. Everybody runs because they said something gonna come from his mouth what's bad. You know what I mean? That's my kids are saying that. And then I force all these people to vote for him at the first time with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So I change on him, man. Trust me.
Yeah.
But what my thought is, why we not hold him accountable for that C-19? Why is it? Why every president, something like that happen or something close to that happen, we hold them accountable for it?
They're giving that accountability to Dr. Fauci.
You break up a while ago, okay?
They're giving that accountability to Dr. Fauci.
No, Dr. Fauci was running the country. The president run the country. The buck stop at the president.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
But I mean, people need to vote for this lady, man. We need a change. I came here when Bush was in power, and then guess what? We have to sacrifice lunch and said we want to keep our job, right?
Yeah.
So they scaled down the lunch what they used to give us free, and then we start to we keep our job for that. We go to I went to another hotel to manage, and guess what happened?
What?
The pandemic hit. After the pandemic hit, it's a problem again. No.
Yeah.
When I bought my first house here, right? I supposed to get the first home buyer credit. Trump's take it away too.
Wow. Really?
Nobody talking about all those stuff, man. The next thing with Trump's we used to, America have a system where they have they set up any disease what broke out, you can catch it from overseas. You can see it from overseas, and then you can prevent it from breakout here.
Yeah.
You know what happened? Trump scrapped that as well. So you guys need to talk about all those stuff, man.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I do got to move it on because we got a really bad echo. But I do appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to the bush here, man.
All right.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Looking in the comments, yeah, he had an echo, but listen, I get folks from all over. Not an issue at all. Certainly enjoy hearing from that. Tim, I don't know what to say. Laughing my ass off. Well, let the man speak. Sometimes there's no room for me to jump in. That man was passionate about his opinion. I seen on YouTube, due to his accent, most likely, half of my YouTube audience was saying he was an illegal alien. Man, you guys on YouTube, my right-wingers on YouTube, shout out to you, but you guys are bogus sometimes. Hand the pilot the controls after we in the air. What do you mean by that, Gen X? Hand the pilot the controls after we in the air. People completely forget what they say about others when you're trying to rationalize their icons. And no, that guy was not an Indian. He sounded more Jamaican. Did he say he was from Grenada? Somewhere in the Caribbean, I would guess. Maybe. Greetings from Holland. Wow. Winnie, good afternoon or whatever. Holland is probably, 7-8 hours ahead of U.S. Central Time. It's 3:50 here in the Midwest, so probably close to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Bush messed up everything. People are losing housing left and right. Started to wave that. Now is the homeless people that get moved around the country all year. Now, see, Philip Holmes says Donald J. Trump is the man. Going back to the box real quick, love to see that MAGA hat is gone. Yeah, I'm not going to go back there and fix it. It fell down. I do appreciate the 153,000 likes you guys. Some of you folks are participating. Others had lazy thumbs. You know what time it is. That was Trump that started. I don't know what that means, but I do appreciate that. It is your boy, Alter Ego. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Somebody says Trump is falling down too. I can tell you quite a bit about the housing market. All right, and I see user said that's a sign. The hat falls down, he said that's a sign, Tim. What is it a sign of? My lovely MAGA hat fell down behind me. What is that a sign of? I see that in the comments. Appreciate that. Should have been about 170,000 likes. Some of you folks had lazy thumbs. You still can do that. By the way, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, after all, we're not here telling you how you should think. We're here to hear what you have to say. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. If you enjoy free speech, all sides of the aisle, follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central, 1,300 hours is where you'll find us. A hat is not equivalent. No, he is older and Trump will make America great again. Why didn't he do it the first time? I'm going to ask that. Okay, because remember I do have his Keep America Great hat. So he claims he did make America great, and then the 2020 campaign was to keep it great. So, all right. What does that say? I don't like tapping. It's showing red hearts. So that's the goal. By the way, the reason I asked you folks on YouTube to smash that like button, which we should be around 220 by now, y'all can make that happen. And the reason I asked you to tap the screen on TikTok, both platforms, my FYP, is generally MAGA. I enjoy talking to MAGA. I always say every day the program always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests, but I do talk to liberals, as you can clearly see as well. So that's when I'm asking you to tap the screen or smash that like button, you're bringing in MAGA. So I know a bunch of you liberal folks love hearing from MAGA, right? So tap the screen, get the likes up. That's what we're asking you for. That's what you're hearing when I ask you to tap the screen. And I see now the code says, you use MAGA. How do I use them? I let you speak. You bitch about not being able to speak every damn where else. You come here, you can damn near cuss out the freaking host. What do you mean I'm using you? I'm allowing you to speak. One of the things that I believe that is a detriment to MAGA is a lot of other platforms block, ban, and censor you. I don't do that here. If there is anything, it's the First Amendment. Your right to speak. I give you that. Enjoy your conversation. Let you state your point, and all of a sudden, that's using you. All right. COVID hurt the world. Trump got rid of the task force that could have stopped COVID. Trump spread COVID. Damn. You aren't using us. We appreciate you not censoring. As always, respect for that. MAGA, says Damian H. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I see Phillips Holmes says, I am MAGA. Hear me roar. Do you get the woman like the Rosie the Riveter with a MAGA hat on? I think a lot of women right now will be insulted about that, but they should have a Rosie the Riveter piece of artwork and put a MAGA hat on Rosie the Riveter. Look at the MAGAs. They make it their whole life and personality. Well, they believe Trump has the vision for America and they are passionate. I'm African Canadian. I have no horse in the race. However, my advice to you all Americans is stay away from the Democrats on this ticket. And that's coming from an African Canadian. Okay. I'd be curious, M. Anwar, the African Canadian, why do you favor Trump? What makes you suggest? Because Kamala Harris doesn't have a real big presence on the world stage, and Tim Walz definitely does not. So why would somebody in Canada suggest staying away from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? I mean, are they even well known outside of America? Trump is definitely well known outside of America. So what would make you say that from Canada? Trump has the vision. Ignore me all you want, says Daniel Oliver. The vision for what? President Obama put forth a task force to study the effects of a pandemic back in 2014. Donald, in his infinite wisdom, stopped funding for that task force. That is accurate. That is correct. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate you tapping the screen. As always, you know what we have to do around this time. It is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'll see you tonight. Gotta go. Thank you folks on YouTube as well. Warren need his advice as, what does that say? Twice as many Republicans as Democrats died from COVID. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it probably is more likely than not, because the Republicans were so resistant to any emphasis on any medical advice, whether it's vaccines, whether it is social distancing, whether it is masks, whether it is hand sanitizer. The right was resistant to any medical advice on the pandemic. So it would make sense that more of them might have perished than Democrats. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you later.